Warning, the following podcast contains spoilers, so if you don't want to know that Michael Myers has an incest baby, well, at least in the producer's cut, stop listening now.
The International House of Horror.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the International House of Horror podcast, a low-budget podcast for low-budget horror movies. As always, I'm your host, Rocco, aka the Mad Pancaker, and sitting across from me is none other than my co-host, Scary Perry.
Hello there!
How are you doing over there, Scary Perry?
I'm doing well, how are you?
Good. Ready to dive into this week's horror movie?
Yes.
Alrighty. Unlike diving into our dinner here.
Why is there weird chirping?
I don't know. I think that's an ominous sign to come about this movie coming up. Damn crickets. Anyways.
That was weird.
We don't have any food to dive in front of us because fucking Dolores never brings us anything.
I got no stuff left. I'm not talking about the stuff.
What are you going to do? Anyways, before we dive into this episode's movie review, let's go through our hotcakes as usual and remind you again, first-time listeners, hotcakes is where we talk about pickups, recent movies we've watched, new horror news. I don't know if this will come out before it comes out, but it'll probably come out after it. Halloween Ends is coming out this Friday.
Oh,
so
yeah.
By the time you are hearing this, it's probably already out, so we'll have to check it out and maybe it'll be an upcoming hotcake.
Is that in here?
I mean, geez, you remember all the bugs that were in here last time?
Okay. Anyways, what do you mean? Hotcakes is about what? It's about you talking for the excessive amount of time.
Hey, now, well, if you would
buy.
contribute to more things, well, I can't help it that people keep having sales and there's stuff that I want on the sales to add to my collection. So anyways, let's dive in.
You should donate to the millions of families that lost their children after this movie.
If you say so. I'll just donate to all these horror merchandise websites and DVD sites. They need my money too. Right. It keeps them employed. Anyways, I guess I'll kick things off. So, recently got in from the fine folks at Zavvi, Arrow's Giallo Essentials Volume Black. This is another 3-film collection of Giallos. So, the first being Smile Before Death. This one's kind of interesting. It's from director Silvio Amadio. And who's in this one? Somebody from The Suspicious Death of a Minor. I don't really recognize the name. Oh, somebody from The French Sex Murders, which I just talked about a couple hotcakes ago.
Yeah, you did.
So this one's kind of interesting. There's this stepfather and his mistress and this daughter who comes back from college or some boarding school, it says. Who died? Who did die? Her estranged mother died in apparent suicide. So now she's kind of like... it's a weird story, and I don't want to like spoil it, but it's not too bad. It's got an interesting twist in it, and it's kind of hard to figure out. And it's not your typical Giallo. It's not so much... there isn't like a whole lot of killing going on in it, but the father is suspected of foul play. They think it's a suicide, but it's a Giallo. A suicide is never a suicide. It's foul play, and it's about unraveling that mystery. And then there's another twist in there. So it was a fun one. All I know is you definitely see, it's Giallo, so there's a lot of nudity going on in it. But again, so the daughter is supposed to be a teenager. And you definitely see a little bit more than you should of a 16-year-old. I don't know if it's like in America where it's like, oh, I'm 16, but it's really an actor that's of legal age.
Yeah.
Like in Halloween, all the teenagers are played by 30-year-olds, so it's okay to see them topless. In Italy, you can never quite tell, and I'm always just waiting for like the FBI to raid my house and like throw me in jail.
I think you're right. I think they get raided first, Arrow films.
So up next, I'll try to go through these quickly, but the twist is really good in this one, and the ending's kind of funny too. It's probably, I don't want to quite give it a 4, maybe like a 3.5. It could be worthy of 4 because it doesn't have a decent twist, but probably a 3.5 is right where it sits. It's a solid Giallo, but not like the best. So then the next one is The Weapon, the Hour, the Motive. a film by Francesco Mazzi, Mazzei, I think is how it's spelled.
Yeah,
Mazzi.
Right. Yep, sounds right.
This one's really interesting. It's another decent giallo. Yeah, if you read the back of the box, it's like horny priests and self-flagellating nuns abound in this atypical little scene giallo from the genre's heyday, featuring music by Euro cult regular Francisco De Masi, who did the score for the New York Ripper. Here it says, which that's coming up here in a little bit, and special effects courtesy of the acclaimed Carlo Rambaldi, who worked on Deep Red and Alien, which is kind of interesting there.
Really.
Now, the one thing about this one is, so this is the one that I was talking about. I think last week I talked about there's a giallo in this pack coming up that is going to talk about that has a lost English dub. It's only got the Italian dub because the English dub is lost. It has the opening Italian dub and the ending Italian dub as a special feature, but I guess the rest of the dub was lost, which is unfortunate, but it doesn't really hurt the film. I really like this one. This one's a little more predictable. You could definitely figure out what's going on by the halfway point, but then there's like a little bit of some blackmail going on with it. Very fun, though. Probably another 3.5. It's also pretty well shot. The actors are pretty cool in it. This Don Giorgio guy who plays the young priest. This Franco Boito guy. He's pretty solid in it. He's like the lead detective, and he's trying to figure it out. But he starts dating the. He starts getting romantically involved with this one lady who was romantically involved with this young priest as well, who ends up being murdered, and he's trying to figure out who murdered this priest and why. It's pretty predictable in that regards. It's kind of obvious who the killer is. By like the halfway point, 60% point, it becomes like a blackmail story with this little kid blackmailing the murderer to pretty much get what he wants. Implied. It's not like 100% blackmail, but all the signs really point to this one person. So finally, the last film in the Giallo Black volume from Arrow Video is The Killer Reserved 9 Seats. So this one's by Giuseppe Bonatti, and this is another interesting one. It's kind of a little bit based off of the Agatha Christie story, 10 Little Indians, a little bit like that. It's got some supernatural stuff going on to it. They all get locked in this house that belongs to this one guy, and like there's kind of like this curse going on with this house. It's really weird, though, because the supernatural element of it is never, like, fully explained. And then just this one random chick survives, and you find out who the murderers are, and then they get their comeuppance. But not really directly from this lady. It's really weird. Like, this one guy keeps showing up, but nobody knows who he is, and then there alludes that it's this old guy. Not old guy, he's actually a young guy, but this guy from many centuries ago who's like haunting this place or something. It's really strange in that regards, but it's got some interesting kills and stuff. Probably about a 3. It's worth a watch if you like giallos. That's it for the Black Collection. Let me slide these back in here in the proper order.
Collection. Pretty dope.
So, and then I got more giallos to talk about, but I'll lump this one in here because this is another Arrow one before I go on to my next group that I got from a sale.
The Mad Pancaker loves his sales.
Oh, I do. This was, I think somebody I followed clued me on the sale. Oh, this was another one that I found that, because it's out of print, actually, from the Arrow, like you can't get it from Arrow anymore, and so pretty much you have to pay, like, Amazon, like, a little bit more than MSRP prices on the Amazon resellers. I forget who was, this might have been from Diabolic DVD, that said, hey, we still got this and we aren't charging scalper prices for it. And I'm like, well, pretty good deal to get for non-scalper prices. So, and this is the Giallo classic Mario Bava's Blood and Black Lace. So I think the Giallo genre kind of is credited with starting with Bava's other film that came before, The Girl Who Knew Too Much, as it says on the back of the box here. But Blood and Black Lace kind of set up the typical tropes like the killer with black gloves. I think there's at least one kill with like a straight blade razor, which is common of the genre. It's beautifully shot. The colors are beautiful in it. Very artistic. It's a joy to look at. And the story's pretty good. It's got a pretty solid twist. You can say it influenced a lot of other films afterwards, which I'm not going to spoil the twist here, but when we talk about some of those other films, or when we one day talk about this film in more detail, we'll cover it. Easily 5 pancakes, probably 5 pancakes covered with syrup. I absolutely love this Giallo. It's fantastic.
Cool.
Man, these fucking crickets. I mean, you think somebody's face got melted off and, bugs poured out of it?
What the hell's going on?
But
What is J Bones doing?
I've been hogging all the hotcakes, but that one was kind of one group of hotcakes, so I'll pass it over to you. You got any hotcakes this episode, Perry?
I do have a hotcake.
I was just on a roll there. I figured I'd knock out the collection.
I was just perusing. I think I saw this on Hulu. I probably should have watched Hellraiser instead, but I didn't.
Oh, that's right. The new Hellraiser's out. That's an interesting hot take.
So I was kind of looking at. Actually, it might have even been Peacock. Either one of those. They show Rotten Tomato score. Not that I go by the Rotten Tomato scores, but I like to watch some modern horror. And I actually came across this film, and I watched the trailer for it. The film's called The House of the Devil. It was released in 2009 by director Ty West. He did. I think it's in theaters now. Pearl.
Okay, yeah, I've heard a lot of people.
X.
Mm-hmm. I've heard a lot of people
I'm sure
really like
there's
those.
something else. In this movie, they use like film techniques. So when I watched the trailer, it looked good for like the cinematography and style to a throwback of 1970s and 80s horror movies. Now it was great, and like it's like this girl that's in college and she needs money to pay her first month's rent, and she sees an advertisement on a college like bulletin board, community board, whatever, for a babysitting job. This movie really takes a while to get going. Like there's like little things where she interacts with her roommate and then her best friend, which is kind of cool. With the best friend, they hang out. It looks like an old timey like 80s pizza place if you see it, and they even had like old Coca-Cola cups, and like from the 80s. I guess they bought them on eBay or something. I was reading about that. So then basically, it's the gentleman that she's like touch and go about this babysitting job, and then her friend eventually drives her to this place that is like way far from this university. Then he like says, "Well, you're actually not. We don't have a baby for you to watch. You're going to be watching my wife's mother, because I don't know. He just made it seem of like utmost importance, like that you need to watch her or whatever." Yeah, this movie it's really slow, so I don't know how to get the gist of it. I don't want to give too much of the movie away. So yeah. He like told her you don't have to do much because she'll like most likely be in her room. But then it starts moving along then. And this is probably like a good hour into the movie by the time she gets to the babysitter's house, the House of the Devil. So basically they incorporate, there's some kills and stuff. Like I'm literally the best part of this, the meat of this movie comes in like the last 15 minutes or 20 minutes of this movie, which is insane. Like I almost shut this off. I'm like, but I wanted to hang on because the cinematography it, like entrapped me, and I'm like, and then they had like cool music like from the Greg Kihn band, the breakup song, if you know that song, I'm not gonna sing it. They had that and stuff like that. There was a cool kill, but basically it alludes to at the end like satanic panic. I'm not gonna give away the ending, but that's like a big factor of it, the satanic panic stuff.
Gotcha.
And it. Like, to me, I'm like, oh, God, this is going to be like... Well, I didn't think it was going to be like another Terrifier, which I need to see Terrifier 2 yet. I haven't seen it.
That's another new one.
And I can't seem to find it because the theaters around us suck.
Yeah.
But
might have to wait to stream it.
Yeah.
I've seen some reviews popping up. I haven't watched too many reviews about it yet. So
after that, this movie's like really high on like Rotten Tomatoes for the critic score, not the audience score. To me, it's not that good. I'd probably give it like 1.5 cannolis out of 5. Maybe I could get up to 2. It is just
worse than Chud.
It takes.
Worse than Hobgoblins?
It's not worse than Hobgoblins. Okay, it might be. I don't even know because it takes so long.
Well, you gave Hobgoblins a 1, so better than Hobgoblins.
Dee Wallace is in the movie.
Oh, Dee Wallace,
just for a little bit.
Of course,
she's
it's one
a
of those.
landlady. Yeah, and
she probably had to go off and kill some more critters.
It's cool that they have rotary phone in the movie. It's cool, like all this old stuff, like the house decorated and stuff like that. But it just fell flat. It just didn't do anything to me. It was like this boring slog thing.
No problem. I gotcha.
You got me?
Yep, I gotcha.
All right. Well, what do you got? I know you
All right. Back to me, I guess. So, MVD, I believe it's MVD Media. I forget what their official site is, but you could probably Google them and find them. But they're another like a DVD, Blu-ray distributor. So they had a sale going on. I think it was a Blue Underground sale. Yeah, because that's what all these are from, Blue Underground.
Underground.
Yeah, they're another one of the DVD publishing companies. So, run through some of these. You want me to do them all at once and then go back to you, or are you out of hotcakes altogether and you just want me to keep rolling?
I'm actually out of hotcakes.
You're out of hotcakes, yeah. That's all right. So, and we'll lightning round this to try to knock them out real quick. So, first up, and pretty much mostly Italian films, Blue Underground does. They do a lot of stuff, but the ones I picked up were all like things I were looking for eventually to own that are Italian. I could watch them on Tubi, but I was going to want to own physical copies of these sooner or later anyway, so... and the price was right. They had like some of them were up to like 80% off, I think. Like they're like if
good.
I could have just like been super cheap and got the DVD versions for like $4 a pop.
It's not bad.
Yeah, I mean it was pretty good.
I mean, DVD quality is still good.
Yeah, but I'm like, okay, they got like
you get the extra.
they got
stuff.
the 4Ks were like $18.50 for a 4K when they usually like MSRP at like 30 to 40 depending on where you get it from. I think like the MSRP for these were like half off, so I think they were like $39.99 or something like that. Well, at least the 4K one. So the first one I got is a 4K. So it's Lucio Fulci's Zombie, or known in Italy as Zombie 2, or in the UK and other parts as Zombie Flesh Eaters.
As 90 million titles.
It does. It's known as Zombie 2 in Italy because it's a cash-in on Dawn of the Dead, which is known as Zombie over there. I shouldn't have to tell you much about this one. If you've never seen it, what are you doing? You shouldn't be listening to this podcast, but you should. And you should like, share, and subscribe. Give us a 5-star review on your podcast app of choice, yada, yada, all that stuff. Support us on Patreon. We'll plug that more later. Yeah, it's a classic. No, maybe yours. It's a classic. It's a 5 pancake covered in syrup. Maestro of gore. It might be his best work. I know people debate about which one's truly his best work. A lot of people give the Beyond that credit. But yeah, it's well worth checking out. It's a great Italian zombie flick. Moving on to the next one. So another Lucio Fulci film, and technically another zombie flick a little bit. It's got some supernatural elements to it though too. It's not just like a straight up zombie thing. You get City of the Living Dead, which sounds like a Of the Living Dead film, but it's just kind of capitalizes on the title there. Another great film. Oh, it's got Christopher George in it. So this is the beginning of his Gates of Hell trilogy, which I like to call the Catriona MacColl trilogy, because Catriona MacColl, she's in all 3 of the Gates of Hell trilogy movies. So I call it the Catriona MacColl trilogy. Playing different characters, of course. It's a loose trilogy. It all deals with similar tropes, but not quite. They're not like directly connected sequels, kind of like Argento's Three Mothers trilogy. They're not directly connected, but they're similar themes to them. Another great film, fantastic gore effects. This one's a little looser on plot. There's still a little bit of a plot to it. It's not quite full Beyond where shit's just happening you go from beginning to end of the movie. There is kind of a reason to things, even though if the reason isn't clear to why the Gates of Hell are going to open in like so many days, unless they stop this weird priest guy who killed himself and is now back from the dead. Zombies are coming to life because of the Gates of Hell, opening type deal. It does kind of have like an H.P. Lovecraft vibe to it. I think the town they go to is even called Dunwich, where they have to go to find the priest and stop him. Again, love this film just for the gore effects in it alone. And if you love batshit crazy Italian plots, is bam, right here for you. Which is an acquired taste, but I love just like the batshit crazy Italian plots of stuff. Easily 5 pancakes covered in syrup. It's got Giovanni Lombardi Radice in it, of course, and I actually make a reference to this in the notes later on. And I already said Christopher George is in it. This is where my infamous John Saxon moves in on Christopher George's wife. The first half of it joke comes in. I don't know if I made that joke too much, but whenever I talk about this movie, I'm going to make that reference. There's 2 halves to this. It's because John Saxon plays Linda J. George's husband in a movie. So I make a joke and then John Saxon makes his move. Italian horror director and regular actor in a lot of these films. Michele Soavi's in it. He's got a role, so love him and stuff. So yeah, 5 pancakes covered in syrup easily. So up next, again, Lucio Fulci, the last Lucio Fulci film here. So this one's a 4K. The other one was a Blu-ray, The City of the Living Dead. This one's a 4K Ultra HD. Lucio Fulci's classic giallo, The New York Ripper. I'd probably say it's probably his best giallo. I just rewatched it again. It holds up. It gets really like freaky in the fetish and kink department. Like I forgot how risque it is. With a lot of its. I mean, like I said, Italian, they have like full-on sex scenes in a lot of these movies and stuff like that. But this one is like really risque. It gets really, yeah, there's some scenes in it that I'm not going to talk about now. But very fun giallo. After rewatching it, I don't want to say it might give away its twist too soon, but I could have sworn this weird dream sequence happens earlier in the movie, but it actually kind of happened later. So I'm like, okay, but it could kind of give away its killer a little too soon. It doesn't quite give away the motive behind it too soon, which is nice, but it's got some great gore in it. As far as Giallo, I mean, there's better Giallos out there for sure, but I don't know if I want to quite give it 5 with syrup, but it's probably the best Lucio Fulci Giallo, and probably at least a 4.5. I could probably give it a 5, but without syrup. Maybe if I watch it again, could go up to the full max ranking, but all right, moving on. So got a few more, and then one big item top. Yep, so this one's a 2-pack blood-soaked double feature, as it calls it, and this is just a regular Blu-ray. I don't know if I'd call it a blood-soaked double feature so much as I call it a Bruno Mattei So Bad It's Good double feature. So we have a 2-pack of Hell of the Living Dead and Rats, Night of Terror. And so both of them are directed by Bruno Mattei. Does Claudio Fragasso write any of these? Probably. Yep, story and screenplay by Claudio Fragasso for Hell of the Living Dead, and then screenplay by Claudio Fragasso and Herb Piscini for the other one. And Bruno Mattei also worked on the story, so... they're both very campy and fun. Hell of the Living Dead is, I don't want to say it's like a Dawn of the Dead ripoff, but the beginning is very much a Dawn of the Dead ripoff. It's very interesting because, so it says music by Goblin, but when it says music by Goblin, what it means is it literally steals soundtracks from other movies that Goblin has done blatantly. Like the Dawn of the Dead soundtrack is in there. I forget there's some other ones, some other maybe from some Argento films, but there's definitely some straight ripped from other Italian horror movies that have done Goblin soundtracks. Most notably, like I said, not Italian, but the George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead has some Goblin in it, and prominently featured the Goblin theme from that movie is in there. Rats Night of Terror is kind of a post-apocalyptic story where this group of rejects from a Italian post-apocalyptic movie are roaming around, and they find this like storehouse, this research facility with plenty of food, clean water, and that type of stuff. So it's like a boon, but rats have infested the building, and they get like surrounded by rats, and it's very hokey. There's very cheap effects in it. Greta Gerwig's in it though, so that's interesting. She's in Demons, but very cheesy effects. Most of the rats are actually just guinea pigs that are painted, I think, if I remember correctly, and just wanton animal abuse, which I know isn't, not cool, but I mean, it's hilarious because I swear one time when I first watched this, they just straight throw a guinea pig. They're dumping like guinea pigs in this hole, but there's also like a fire, and I swear one goes through a flame, and I'm just like, oh man, those crazy Italians.
We got a Friday the 13th.
Oh yeah, they have no. I'm sure like it didn't go into a fire, but like there was flames and it passed through the flame. I'm just like, did they just fucking throw a guinea pig through a fucking fire? Like I said, it didn't land in a fire, but it went through some flames. Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, so back to Hell of the Living Dead real quick. The runtime on it is 99 minutes, and I want to say that at least 39 minutes of that is just stock footage padding from there's this group of this task force, and they have to get to this project. There's some research facility where shit hit the fan, and now there's zombies coming from it, and they're trying to make their way, but they have to go through all these like jungle natives to get to there. I think it takes place in like some Indonesian island or some nonsense like that. So there's a lot of like stock footage of natives and stuff like that. I think there's more animal killings in this, but it might even be stock footage of animal killings. So it's very padded, but it's very cheesy fun. There's some actually respectable gore, like especially towards the end. The characters are kind of funny in it. So it's definitely not a good film. It's definitely so bad it's good, but it's a fun time. Both of them, just based on how bad they are good, they're probably like Hobgoblins, both probably coming at 3. But I definitely rewatch them just for the camp factor. And the ADR is amazing in them. The typical Italian dubbing, not very good a lot of times. It's pretty bad in this, but it's got I know Edward Mannix, who does a lot of Italian dub work. He plays one of the main character, the squad leader in Hell of the Living Dead, so it's always nice to hear him. And so up next we have the directorial debut of Michel Soavi, who we talked about starring in some of those other films, Stage Fright, which is an Italian slasher film, so it's not really a giallo because there's no mystery to it. The killer's known throughout, but very visual appealing. He pretty much mentored under Argento, and so the style, that stylistic, artistic choice shows there. It's a fantastic film, phenomenal. Michel Suave, I believe, only directed 4 horror films. He might have only directed 4 films, period, but they're all horror. I forget what the third one is, but I know he did The Church and he did Cemetery Man. And The Church I really like, not as much as Demons 1 and 2, but it's easily a 4. Church started out as Demons 3, but they didn't want to do Demons 3, so they spun it off as its own thing, even though you could still see the demon influence in it. I mean, Cemetery Man is a phenomenal, probably easy top 25 horror film. It probably goes higher than that, but just to give a broad number, 5 pancakes covered in syrup for that one. So this one, I have to rewatch it again. It's been a while, but I was very impressed. There's a lot of good gore in it. It's got a very tense. The situation makes little sense though. They get trapped in this theater, this art theater, production theater, because they're rehearsing for this stage play, and they lock themselves in intentionally overnight to practice because the director's obsessed with getting it perfect. But this killer gets out from a nearby mental institution, of course. I mean, by mental institution, I mean school. He could have been bunking with a scary pod over there. But yeah, he gets out and he gets into the building with them after they lock it. And they hide the key because, they don't want anybody to leave because they want to practice till they get it perfect because this director's obsessed. And they start getting picked off one by one. Very good, very great slasher film, especially a foreign slasher film. Probably 5 pancakes. I'd have to rewatch it to see if it's worthy of the syrup on top. And then last movie pickup, we got none other than the infamous classic Dario Argento's Inferno. Which I'll get into this rant another day, but I feel like the name is very misleading. It should have had a different name, and another Argento film should have had a different name, but that's neither here nor there. This film is quite a trip. I know people they don't knock Suspiria for not having a plot, but the one thing people describe Suspiria as not having a plot, I feel like Suspiria has a plot. The plot just so happens to just kind of happen to Jessica Harper more than she seeks it out. This one, there is no plot. It's like Fulci's The Beyond. It just goes from like set piece to gore as shit happens to this guy who's investigating a letter his sister sent and her disappearance. He comes from Italy and flies to New York. It's another beautifully shot Argento film. Lots of beautiful colors in it, even though it's not in Technicolor like Suspiria. Just phenomenal film. I've always been impressed with it. I always hold it to the same regards as Suspiria. 5 pancakes covered in syrup. Again, this one's just a Blu-ray. I don't know if they have a 4K. But at the price, I'm not going to be like, when the 4K comes out, I need to upgrade to 4K. So that's all the pickups. I got some more pickups, but they're saved for the next episode. And last but not least, so finally came in from my Kickstarter. I got a board game from Iconic Studios and from Studio Canal. John Carpenter's They Live, Assault on Cable 54, the board game. I haven't played it yet, so I can't really tell you much of the rules, but I have read the rules. The premise is, you're the resistance and you're trying to go around and collect supplies and weapons and stuff so you can assault Cable 54 at the end of the game. But unbeknownst to you, there could be a traitor in your midst, or some of the cards are sabotaged, so there's little lenticular squares on the corners of all the cards, and when you put on, so you don't always get to put on the glasses, but it comes with a set of glasses that act as your Hoffman lenses, so they're actual sunglasses, and you put them on, and when you put them on, you can see on the lenticular circles and squares and shit on the cards. Whether it's a good guy card, you'll see like a Roddy Piper's face with the glasses on it if it's a good guy card. If it's a bad guy card, just like in the movie, you'll see the alien face over top. And the same with your teammates, they could be secretly invaders working to sabotage the cause and trying to get those bad cards into your stockpile of weapons for the end of the game. Having not played it, I can't tell you how great it is, but I noticed while reading the rules, I feel like there's some potential exploits that would need ironed out, or I'd need to read an FAQ to make sure I'm interpreting the rules right. Could be just a matter of they just didn't play test with the right group of people who tried to break the game. I know sometimes these games, kind of like Love Letter, like in Love Letter, you're not supposed to lie. That's the whole point. If you lie, you're cheating and you're breaking the spirit of the game. Yeah. In this game, though, it's not so much lying. It's just the way the mechanics work on it. It's like, as the invader, you could just like try to punch everybody to death or get yourself punched to death because you only have so many extra lives. And any time somebody dies, they take over a new character. And once you're out of extra characters to use, somebody dies, you lose. So I feel like there's that exploit there, whereas the invader, you could just, it could ruin the experience of the game. But at the same time, if you're trying to win the game, that's probably the best bet, is to punch people as early and often as you can as the invader, and then because you could sabotage them just by using up all the extra lives. So it seems like there's a fault there. I don't know if maybe as an invader, if you die, you should just be permanently die. That could be one solution. Or I know in some games, if you become, you could expose yourself as the traitor at any point in the game, and then you operate under different rules. I think that would be the way to go about do it, but there's nothing in there like that. So like I said, I have to read an FAQ to make sure I'm properly interpreting the rules, or there might have been a rule left out that they overlooked. Like I said, once I play it, we can get a detailed review. We'll have to definitely play that sometime. Definitely probably better with more people, being a social deduction game, trying to figure out who's a bad guy based on their actions. Anyways, so that's all the hotcakes. So, and you got nothing left to talk about? All right, just double checking. You never knew, might have something popped in your head.
I got one for every 20 you have.
I know. I keep thinking, man, I'm going to have less hotcakes, but let me tell you, I can tell you next episode, somebody, I don't think they've arrived yet, but I set aside some things, so I didn't have like a billion hotcakes for this episode, but I got some other things coming in too, because Shout Factory / Scream Factory had their Shocktober sale. Ooh. So I picked up a few things there. Not too many things. I rounded out a collection, so I can now say I have the entire 4K collection until, spoiler alert about those next week's hotcakes, until a certain movie comes out on 4K that's releasing soon that we might have mentioned earlier. Anyway, so we can move on to today's movie review. So we're in October, so we're in the Halloween season, so we're picking up right where we left off last year. So last year we reviewed Halloween 2, so this year, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch from 1982.
Season of the Warlock?
No, Season of the Witch.
Oh.
Written and directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, sort of. So,
yes.
So it's credited as him, but the original writer, I don't know how much you know of this or how much
I do.
So you know about the story with Nigel Neal?
Nigel Neal?
Yes. So big British, right?
Yeah.
British sci-fi writer. Like, I've known about this story for a while. When they took a script and they added in a bunch more gore, which he thought ruined it, so he wanted his name taken off. So I think John Carpenter also did a little bit of the story and script writing on it from what I remember reading. But on the box, it's just credited as just Tommy Lee here. Then produced by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill again. Executive producers Irwin Yoblins and Joseph Wolfe. Associate producer Barry Bernardi. Music by John Carpenter and his buddy Alan Howarth. Director of photography Dean Cundy. So it's pretty much almost the same people from Halloween 2 doing this. It's the usual suspects of the Halloween crew. So starring Tom Atkins, one of our fan favorites here, Stacey Nelkin, Dan O'Herlihy, and Nancy. So we got to talk about this because I failed to mention this when we talked about Halloween. So Nancy Keys, she was credited in Halloween as Nancy Loomis. I always forget that her last name is Keys because I'm so familiar with her name being Nancy Loomis in Halloween.
She's Nancy Loomis, but she was Laurie's promiscuous friend, Annie Brackett.
Yes, yeah, she gets her stage credit as Nancy Loomis. Yeah. Then she changed it, and this one she's credited as Nancy Keys. Yeah. I don't know why she changed her stage name, or if Keys was her real last name. Not sure how it works, but I
don't know if you got this though. Do you know who originally? Well, I don't know how much he was involved, but who originally the first director that was signed onto this movie before they went to Tommy Lee Wallace?
Oh, I do know, and it's gonna escape me now. I want to say it was Tobe Hooper.
No, it was
don't tell me.
Okay, all right.
It was one of the big name horror guys. I forget who though. Oh, that's gonna drive me nuts. And then the second you say it, I'm gonna have one of those slap my head moments. Oh, why can't I remember who was originally supposed to direct this? Just go ahead and tell me so we can save time.
It was Joe Dante.
Joe Dante, that's right. God, I knew it was a big horror guy.
So I think he left before I don't know, initial production. I don't know how much.
Yeah, that happens a lot. A director signs on, but then they get committed to other products.
The reason he left
or projects
is because he wanted to film a segment of the Twilight Zone movie that was coming out. And also, as a note, Nigel Keel, Tommy Lee Wallace said later in an interview that about 60% of this movie is the screenplay that Nigel Neal wrote.
Yeah, so you could see they did probably about 40% rewrites, so that's kind of interesting. But yeah, he wanted his name just completely taken off of it, which I don't know why. I mean, I feel like in the end,
he wanted it off because he thought it was too gory.
Yes, yeah, that's what I said.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what I said. They added in more gore, and he didn't like that, so he was disgusted. He wanted his name taken off. So also in this is our as another stuntman and an actor is our good buddy. Well, we're doing the cast. Is our good buddy Dick Warlock. So Perry, what do you think about Dick Warlock? What do you think about Dick Warlock over there?
Well, I like Dick a lot. He was very good as the Shave.
I do like Dick.
Oh, yes.
I had to get it in there.
He is credited as an assassin.
Yes, he plays one of the suits coming up, as we'll be talking about. So you want me to read the back of the box since I got it here real quick?
Sure.
Producer John Carpenter, Halloween, The Thing, presents the third chilling installment in the shocking Halloween franchise. When a terrified toy salesman is mysteriously attacked and brought into the hospital, babbling and clutching the year's most popular Halloween costume, an eerie pumpkin mask, Dr. Daniel Chalice is thrust into a terrifying Halloween nightmare, working with the salesman's daughter, Ellie, in more ways than one. Heyo. Daniel traces the mask to the Silver Shamrock Novelties Company and its founder, Connell Cochran. Ellie and Daniel uncover Cochran's shocking Halloween plan and must stop him before trick-or-treaters across the country never come home in this terrifying thriller. And the tagline for this is the night no one comes home. Nice play on the night he came home from the original tagline of the first Halloween. And with all the cast and stuff out of the way, I think we can dive into our plot breakdown here. So you ready to dive into the plot, Perry?
I am ready, sir.
So we open with this high-pitched whining Sith sound.
A Tempo Magazine stinger.
Oh, not quite a Tempo Magazine stinger. It's more of like just a sound in this. Trust me, there's going to be plenty of Tempo Magazine stingers coming up. We're going to break the counter on it, I think. And that leads into this eerie music as the opening credits begin to play over top an image of a TV/computer monitor. And orange lines and pixels begin to fill in on the screen in sections, and it keeps jumping to different sections, with the screen flickering away when finished to begin the process with the next section. And I'm just going to comment here. I love the spooky music here. It really helps to set the tone of the film. And the monitor here alludes to the implementation of technology and its involvement in the plot of the story. So during this credit sequence...
Oh, hold on 1 second.
Oh, sure.
So this credit sequence was done by a good friend of Tommy Lee Wallace and John Carpenter. His name was John C. Wash. It took him 3 to 4 weeks to create that opening sequence.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But it is really dope. It
is really good.
I like it.
I wonder how long it would take to create nowadays with the computer technology has probably gotten better to create something like that.
Yeah.
This isn't horror related, but they should have got that guy from Revenge of the Nerds, the main character's friend. He just he just types in a bunch of things and he's got like this animated cartoon going on the computer monitor already. I'm like, that's not how computer coding works. There's no way he could have done that fast. So during this credit sequence, the image on the monitor eventually is revealed to be that of a jack-o'-lantern. Once finished, we cut to a full screenshot of the monitor as it starts to flash repeatedly back and forth between the image of the pumpkin and just a blank white screen. Some subliminal message type stuff, perhaps? On an unrelated note, did you remember to bring that your Silver Shamrock Novelties mask for the big giveaway later on at 9, Scary Perry?
Yeah, I got it right here.
So, so you can watch the Magic Pumpkin. I mean, Connor Cochran was nice enough to get you that for Christmas after he got me one for Halloween last year.
Nice guy.
Very nice guy. And our only sponsor, other than our, pre-inserted sponsors. We open underneath an underpass at night, and the title card lets us know we're in Northern California, and it's October, Saturday the 23rd. As the creepy synth score kicks in, this guy is running down the street. He pauses and looks back down the road as a car comes into view with its headlights on, and cue the Tempo Magazine stinger. He takes off into a junkyard, trying several trailers, but they're locked and no one answers when he knocks for help. He pauses as the car slows down and stops by the junkyard entrance, but it continues down the road. So he resumes his frantic search, but then the car backs up and pulls into the junkyard. Terrified, this guy, he takes off. But we get another Tempo Magazine stinger as he bumps into a man in a suit. The random suit wrestles him to the ground next to the bumper of one of the junked cars and starts choking the guy. And we finally get a good look at what appears to be a bright orange color mask tucked into the man's pants/belt.
Yeah.
The guy reaches for a chain on the ground that's attached to a block underneath another car's tire. And he pulls on the chain, and that removes the block, and that sets in reaction the car rolling forward, and it crushes the suit between the car that they're right next to with a loud crunch. And I love how the suit just kind of just turns his head nonchalantly and watches the car roll towards him.
It
makes no attempt to get away.
It's convenient that that's just there for him.
Right.
The
yeah.
And he's got, I don't know how easy
Deus
that
Ex
would
block
be,
you.
how easy that is to pull that block out of him.
Yeah. So the guy, he wiggles out from underneath the cars as another suit exits the vehicle after this guy has failed in pursuit. And the guy quickly picks up his mask and takes off into the night as thunder and lightning rumble overhead and it starts to downpour. Looking out the window here, it started raining about an hour ago here too. Coincidence? So we cut to a gas station and the title card tells us it's 1 hour later as it's pouring down rain. Inside, the gas station employee is kicking back and watching a good old CRTV, complete with channel dials. From the TV, we get a news report about the mysterious disappearance of one of the stone slabs from Stonehenge. I'm sure that's not going to matter later on at all.
7 tons.
Yeah, 7 tons disappeared. That's a pretty big
groundbreaking story.
Yeah. A commercial comes on for Silver Shamrock Novelties, playing its infamous jingle. 8 more days till Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. 8 more days till Halloween, Silver Shamrock. So, and it's got a bunch of kids bobbing their heads back and forth, showing off the 3 horrific Halloween masks that they offer.
Can I stop you right there?
Sure.
I'm sure you're going to mention this jingle several times.
Oh, yeah. We'll probably sing it throughout. It makes a good drinking game throughout the movie, too.
So Tommy Lee, I think Tommy Lee Wallace,
I think so.
He created the theme. The theme is basically London Bridges falling down.
Yeah, you could
they
tell
use
by
that
the
because
cadence.
it was in the public domain. Yeah, and Tommy Lee.
I wanted to get a version to just play it, but I'm like, I don't want to play like the thing from the movie. I'm not sure. I know we're not very big and we could probably, scoot by for a while without being noticed, but eventually, I didn't want to get like claimed under fair use or, Spotify take the episode down eventually at some point for even playing a portion of it. But continue. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's it. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay. So the 3 masks they offer are a skeleton, a witch, and a jack-o'-lantern. And they even glow in the dark. I believe that's Tommy Lee Wallace's voice in the commercial, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's his voice, yeah.
That jack-o'-lantern looks suspiciously like the mask that guy was carrying. But just then, lightning strikes and the power goes out. Oh, what the heck? Oh, man, the lights are out here, too? Are we still recording here, Scary Perry?
I can't see.
Jeez, J-Bones, don't you have a generator? Dolores, get some candles over here.
Wait. I hear something.
You hear something.
I think Murky Molidor's creeping around somewhere.
We're eagerly awaiting some. Murky Molidor wants to record some voicemails. I'm eagerly awaiting. If you want to leave a voicemail too, you can do so at anchor.fm/themadpancaker or at my website, themadpancaker.com.
I'm going to call out a couple people to do that right now.
Oh, yeah.
I want Murky Molidor to do it for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And I want the Grim Librarian. You know who you are, Grim Librarian.
I'm going to call out J-Bones too. I've been harking on him. Feel like this would have been a perfect time for him to call in and like make fun of the podcast and repeat a famous line at the end of this movie at the end of his phone call. Missed opportunity there. Anyways, we'll deal with the power outage here. It looks like we're still rolling, so
there's a generator.
Yeah, we're still rolling here. So anyways, the gas station employee hears a noise outside, so he gets up to take a look. As he's looking outside, we get a sweet synth Tempo magazine stinger again as the guy on the run comes out of nowhere and grabs him from behind with a crazed look on his face before collapsing to the ground, clutching the mask in his hand and muttering, "They're coming," before passing out. Hey, speaking of which, through the window there's some weirdo running through the rain outside toward that gas station. Isn't that strange?
Yes. What's going on?
Maybe he really needs to get a fix of the stuff. Do you think they got in a restock of the stuff over there finally?
I don't know. Something weird's going on right now.
So the gas station employee, he loads him in his tow truck and drives off to take him to the hospital. But we get yet another Tempo magazine stinger as a suit pops out from around the corner of the gas station and watches them drive away. And man, now that I'm looking out the window, there's a lot of coincidences going on here. I see a guy standing out there in a suit, too, by the corner of the gas station. And it looks like the gas station attendant just loaded some guy in a truck and drove away. Some weird business guy over there. What a coincidence. Maybe he's just a sales rep from Stuff Co.
Yeah, I think
Anyways, meanwhile, the greatest actor on the face of the planet, Tom Atkins as Dr. Dan Chalice.
Okay, before you say it, this guy's mustache is better than my mustache.
Of course. Can you believe it takes till like the last page before I make that joke?
Really?
Yeah, I keep meaning to. I didn't find a good spot to put it in, but I jammed it in at the last second. He's Dr. Dan Chalice, and he arrives home, and it's raining, so he's got his coat up over his head, and he's greeted by his excited kids, although his ex-wife, played by Nancy Keys, is short with him. So he hands each of the kids a generic brown paper bag, and they open them up to reveal cheap plastic half masks. One kind of looks like a demon-looking one for the boy and like a cat for the girl. Kid, whatever you do, don't put that mask on or scratch yourself on it. I saw what it did to Goretta.
That one going over my head, but somebody else.
Yeah.
And also, this cheap mask, the guy's a doctor. What a cheap ass.
Yeah. It's he's.
Yeah, you know why? Probably because his wife's a bitch.
Yeah, he's got to pay all that alimony. That's why he doesn't have money to afford, and that child support. But the little brats are disappointed because mom already got them the hottest item out there, the Silver Shamrock mask. And they run off to put them on and proceed to sing the Silver Shamrock jingle. And they run around the room singing it. He asks his ex how she's been, but before he can bitch at him some more, he gets a beep on his pager and has to call the hospital. It must appear that Atkins has been out drinking because his wife quips, "Drinking and doctoring, great combination."
I think so. Sounds right.
Kind of reminds me of another quip she makes. Kind of like Lori, her infamous loud moaning and chewing and from Halloween. You remember that line?
Yeah.
I think that's Lori that actually says it.
Yeah.
The kids turn on the TV, and what comes on? The Silver Shamrock jingle, of course. Dirt, 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 dirt. 8 more days till Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. 8 more days till Halloween, Silver Shamrock. So Dr. Chalice, he finished his phone call to the hospital and say he has to go to treat a patient. And we immediately directly cut to him at the hospital being briefed by a nurse saying the patient is stable, but Dr. Nick Castle? It just says Dr. Castle, but
that isn't
had to leave early, so they called him in. Obviously, it's a reference to Nick Castle.
Who played.
However, Nick Castle.
Halloween too.
And he's a production designer, I think, set designer or something. He does something behind the scenes there as well. In addition to playing the Shape, he does a lot of the production stuff. But this brings me to my fan theory that there are 2 Tom Atkins in the Halloween 3 universe. Now,
I got something for you. Why this is possible later. I can't tell you now.
Okay. So in the movie John Carpenter's The Fog, one of the main characters' name is also Nick Castle and is played by none other than Tom Atkins. Sans the mustache, though. He isn't wearing his awesome stash in that film. Now, it's quite possible that after the events in that film, because he does survive the fog, that he went over to wherever this hospital is at. They're not really too clear on where this initial location is.
Northern California.
Yeah, Northern California. It's possible he went over from, I forget the place that the fog takes place in. I forget the name of the place. I think it might take place around Bodega Bay. I can't remember. Or at least might have been filmed there. There's a lot of movies that take place around Bodega Bay. But
see if I can get it real.
Sure. I'll keep rambling on about this. But it's quite possible this character, moved from there afterwards because he was kind of a drifter anyways, looking for work. Maybe he got his doctorate, moved there. And so
Antonio Bay,
that's it.
I
knew it was a bay.
A real place, though.
I don't know either.
Yeah, but anyways.
Yeah, maybe he moved from Antonio Bay over to Northern California here, and now is a doctor at the same hospital. So there could be 2 Tom Atkins in this, which easily could make this the greatest cinematic universe in history if there's 2 Tom Atkins in it. So Dr. Dan, he checks him out on the stretcher as the gas station employee, better mustache than Scary Perry. I did have one, but it was for this guy. Tells them that the guy just walked up out of the rain and he just brought him here as the doc signs off on the release form for the deputy. The attendant is to quote Stephen King from Creepshow 2, a black guy. I don't know if you remember that scene from Creepshow 2 with the hitchhiker, where he's like, looks like a black guy. And he's wearing a brown overcoat and beanie cap. Kind of looks like the hitchhiker from Creepshow 2. Not the same guy. I know it's not the same actor because the hitchhiker had a deeper voice in Creepshow 2. But close enough, I'm calling it. Maybe it's like his brother or, cousin or something. Now, if we assume that both of the Creepshow movies, 1 and 2, stories and wraparound segments are in the same universe, now Tom Atkins stars as the dad in the wraparound segment of the first film. Does that mean that there are 3 Tom Atkins in the Halloween universe? And like I said earlier, best cinematic universe ever. So Doc Atkins checks him out, and they are going to take the guy to room 13. Nope, nothing bad can come out of that. So Dan thanks the gas station attendant for bringing him here. But as he does, the Silver Shamrock jingle comes on the TV in an open room.
He wanted to get out of there because he's like, they're gonna start accusing me.
Right.
I gotta get out of here.
And he's clutching the mask, and the inpatient hears it, causing him to awake and tremble as he tells the doctor and the nurse that they're gonna kill us all of us. And then the gas station attendant, like you said, he takes a dip, and he takes that as his cue to exit, and he sneaks off and leaves. So the doc tells the nurse to give him 100 milligrams of Thorazine. I'm pretty sure that's what Dr. Loomis wanted to use on Michael.
That is correct. Yep, that is correct.
I'm like, they're just doling out Thorazine like it's candy in the Halloween franchise. So outside the hospital, the suit gets out of his car, bum, bum, bum. And then we crossfade back inside to the crazy guy's room as the nurse and Tom Atkins finish up the rounds for the night. As they leave the man to sleep while he's still clutching the Silver Shamrock mask, Dr. Chalice remarks that he could use a nap too, and the nurse tells him that the doctor's lounge is empty, and Chalice replies, "Want to take one with me?" Wink, wink, and she chuckles. Smooth, Tom. Real smooth. Although I think this could get you in some hot water for sexual harassment nowadays.
Also, he gave her a nice slap.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting to that.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Might get you in some sexual harassment nowadays. I don't mean the kind at Haddonfield Memorial Hospital. All sorts of hot water going on there, if you remember.
Yes.
So as they walk down the hall, the nurse informs him that there are pillows in the cabinet and milk and cookies in the fridge, to which Dan replies that he thinks he should have married her. Agnes. I feel like Agnes would be another appropriate waitress here. Probably better service than Dolores. And then, like you said, he grabs her butt. And then she smacks his back, and they have a good laugh as she goes on her way while he goes in the lounge. Ah, the 80s, when you could just openly sexually harass a fellow employee and you both have a chuckle at it. But seriously, Tom, you're going to get yourself fired here if you keep Harvey Weinsteining people. So Dan, you were married to Annie. This old maid is nowhere close to her in the looks department. I mean, she's probably less of a bitch than Annie in this film, but...
I think that's why, because she's so nice.
Yeah. Looks isn't always the most important thing. Unless you're me. I'm very shallow.
Well...
Anyways, moving on.
Anywho.
As the camera pulls back from the hallway they just walked down, we get yet another Tempo magazine stinger, as a suit is revealed standing at a doorway, watching them go out of sight, causing the low, suspenseful score to kick in. Just like Haddonfield, this hospital is pretty slow this time of night. Unusually. And the suit begins to walk as we get some awesome cinematography of him from just the legs down, so we don't get to see his identity. As he walks down the hallway to the crazy guy's room as Dan settles in for his nap, the suit ducks into a room to put on his gloves and to let Agnes pass by without seeing him. And then he resumes his course and we follow, watching from the waist down again. The suit walks into room 13, and he places one hand over the man's mouth, causing him to wake with his eyes wide and panicked. And he raises the other hand and forms a fist. It looks like he's going to punch the guy, but rather than do that, he extends out his index finger and thumb and just grabs the man's face between the eye socket and nose. The man begins to spasm violently on his bed, and we have kill number 1, splitting headache. The suit literally pulls the bones in the man's skull apart, raising the section of the face between the eyes and nose to an unnatural position as we hear the bones break with a loud crunch.
I often fantasize about doing this to you. What?
What?
What? Where did that come from?
That's very rude.
I think Scary Pod just possessed my body.
Yeah, I think Scary Pod's the sane one. I think they locked up the wrong homicidal maniac there.
You wouldn't know.
And as I
what?
And I comment here that this guy did it, and he says, "That's for not liking my performance as Michael Myers." I think this guy was critical of his performance. This is the assassin. This is Dick Warlock. I'm pretty sure. I think he shows up again. He plays a couple suits in this one. I think they get their money's worth on Dick Warlock performance here.
You know what? I do like Dick.
So, despite being mostly bloodless, kill. This is so creepy and is amplified in its violence by the sound of the skin being squished and the snapping of the bones as they finally give away.
Good.
Yeah, and it just looks, plus it's expertly shot with cuts to the man's arms just spasming and shaking suddenly, and then all of a sudden they stop and fall to his sides when he's killed. There is some fluid on the man's hand, on the man's face.
Blood.
But I don't know if it's quite blood. It probably is.
He wipes it off on the curtain.
He does wipe it off on the curtains. I'm getting to yeah, that's my next thing. So with the deed done, the suit goes and wipes the blood off on the window curtains. Yeah, exactly. He must really like those gloves and wants to save them for later. And like I said, the stains left on the curtains do look reddish, so we'll go with its blood. But it could be yellow fluid that comes up later on because it kind of looks yellow on the guy's face.
But that would
mean it was coming from inside the gloves, which doesn't make sense.
Wait,
and also wouldn't the gloves be ruined from the inside?
Unless Mask Guy is no, because they wouldn't release him like that.
Yeah, it is. There is some. I do talk about that a little bit later, not with him, but that's a good point that maybe he's one of. Yeah, don't want to spoil it early, but he could be one of them. The same thing later on with another character, but it'd be like, well, then why would that person be it? But I have heard people speculate that maybe this person was one of them the whole time. Not this guy, but another character coming up. Oh, I do have that in my notes. Or maybe the crazy guy was one of them, but it doesn't make sense. It doesn't jive with the plot of the story. Like, why would they be that? And then we also see that as a result of the death, the man has dropped the mask on the floor. So, however, the suit is interrupted as Agnes accosts him for being in here when he's not supposed to and asks him what he's doing here. He remains silent, just walks past her out of the room as the score intensifies. Back in the lounge with Tom sleeping, we hear Agnes scream as she discovers the assassination, stirring Dr. Chalice from his nap as he rises off the couch and heads down the hallway, slowly at first as he wakes up, but then quickly jogging towards Agnes. She is hysterical and unable to form a complete sentence.
Real quick there, I like the cinematography of this.
Oh yeah,
how like he's like just coming like waking up, and they like portray it real well.
Yeah,
of him like coming down the hall.
We got Dean Cundy again in his expert cinematography.
Yeah,
really enhances this film. Like I said, she's hysterical. She's unable to form a complete sentence. And she just kind of mutters out, "A man, he just," as she sobs. Dan tells her it's all right and pursues the suit down some more hallways, eventually following him outside through the main entrance, getting there just in time to see the man get into his car. Chalice yells out, "Hey!" But the man ignores him and proceeds to pour gasoline from a container on himself, as Dr. Chalice just stares on in bewilderment as the suit lights his lighter and the entire car goes up in a Michael Bay explosion, as all the doctor can do is watch as more spectators stroll out to watch the blaze, as sirens are heard from approaching first responders. He was probably thinking, I'm not going to let another doctor blow me up and set me on fire again, so I'm going to just do it myself this time. No rim shot for that one. And also, that's some pretty quick response time for the first responders being there that quick for that explosion. I mean, maybe Agnes called from the inside, but still very fast. Back in the doctor's lounge, people are milling about as police take statements from the staff, and Dr. Chalice makes a phone call to his ex-wife Linda while Firefighter chills by the fridge. He tells her that he won't be able to pick the kids up tonight. Something came up, but she is pissed on the other end. He puts down the phone and covers it up with his hand to explain to a firefighter better mustache than Scary Perry that it's his ex-wife.
Whoa.
And I think the guy is all too understanding of Tom Atkins' plight here. Like, he nods in agreement. It's like, yeah, I got one of those, and I know how that is. So he just tries to tell her that 2 men died there, but she doesn't want to hear his lame excuses and just cares if he is going to take the kids Saturday before they end the conversation. So as soon as he's done, a cop swoops in to use the phone. And Jamie Lee Curtis, I believe, is the operator here.
Yes.
On the phone. She shows up a couple times in this as the operator, and I'll point it out later on as I come up. Sitting by the phone is the jack-o'-lantern mask the guy was clutching. Dan notices it and picks it up, as the score casts an ominous tone on this moment, emphasized by the voiceover of the man saying, "They're gonna kill us all," as we crossfade to the smoking remains of the suit's car in the parking lot during the day, Sunday the 24th, as the title card reminds us. Back inside, the dead guy's daughter comes to identify the body. The sheriff warns her, but she wants to get it over with, but is appalled by the grisly sight that she sees of her father. But she also has caught Tom Atkins' eye too. Heyo. The only explanation that the sheriff provides is that it was some crazy guy that killed himself in the parking lot afterward and was on drugs. Probably, but the investigation is ongoing. Maybe it was that stuff that the Elmer injects directly into your brain. That's a pretty heck of a drug from what I remember. Or maybe he was a stuff addiction. Maybe the stuff made him do it. So she isn't satisfied with this explanation, but the sheriff tells her that she's had a hard night and traveled a long way. So just get an injection from the doctor here and you'll feel all better, and I'll ask you some questions and maybe have some more answers in the morning. What? That's what I heard him say.
Sure, we'll go with that, yeah.
She leaves the room, so Dr. Chalice decides it's time to call it a day and take off. But walking down the hallway, he hears the lady crying, and he's thinking to himself, now is my time to make my move. Except that isn't what he does, because Tom Atkins notices to play the long game, so he keeps walking and plays it cool. Then we cut to the coroners, and the title cards are still courteous enough to let us know it's now Wednesday the 27th. Dr. Chalice is talking to the assistant coroner, Teddy, to try and get some information on the suit. But she doesn't have anything for him, especially since all that was left was ashes. I just naturally assume that Dr. Chalice is or was banging this chick too.
Yeah.
He's kind of, I don't want to say he's like a womanizer.
He's like a horn dog?
Yeah, he's definitely a horn dog. He's definitely like a lady killer, ladies' man. Women just can't resist this guy for all the right reasons. Oh man, this guy, let me tell you, I love me some Tom Atkins. The doc rules out the drugs theory, saying the guy was in complete control and looked like a businessman. Yeah, that's why I've been calling him the suit. Try and keep up, Dan. She replies that he must have been a strong businessman, considering he pulled a man's skull apart. Chalice insists that she checked this one out personally for him, ignoring the proper channels. This time it's personal. Also, they have this really weird conversation afterward where Dan asks if she still has that thing, which she does. Do we find out what that thing is? Nope, never.
Yeah.
Just some awkward backstory. Like I said, I'm pretty sure they were banging. She also brings up his drinking problem, and that's his cue to exit. Next, we cut to Dr. Chalice drinking at a bar, and the title card lets us know that it is Friday the 13th, or 29th. Hey, what happened to Thursday the 28th? Has Dr. Chalice been drinking at a bar this whole time? I think he really does have a drinking problem, if that's the case. On the TV is a bunch of cartoons, but Dan doesn't have time for any of that nonsense.
Oh, hold on a second. I have time for this nonsense.
Okay.
Do you know what the cartoon was?
No. Fill me in.
A cartoon is called The Cigarette and the Weed. 1981. This was made by Ralph Bakshi.
Bakshi? Oh, okay.
Who created one of your favorite movies.
Oh, yeah.
Animated movies, Wizards.
I don't know if it's one of my favorites.
But
I thought you were going to say Cool World.
Also Fritz the Cat and the animated Lord of the Rings movie from the 80s.
And Cool World.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe.
Did he do? He did most of the animation. I know it was one of those rush jobs and budget issues. Anyway, so he doesn't have time for any cartoons, and he asks the bartender to change the channel. So he changes it, and on the TV is the Halloween theme with a commercial for the immortal classic Halloween to be shown during the Horror-thon, followed by the big giveaway at 9. Hey, I thought people said Michael Myers wasn't in this one. See, now all of you who hate this film because Michael Myers is in it can stop complaining.
Yeah.
Fucking bastards.
Bunch of douches.
Whoa, hold on.
Wait.
Nah, it's your right to dislike this film if you want, but...
Too far? No.
That's right. Oh, so immortal, you say. Oh, you don't know how immortal Michael Myers is. I have a feeling there is no end to him.
I don't know.
Wink, wink.
He may end this in a couple days after this recording, but we don't know yet.
I feel like the subtitle should be for that movie, it's Halloween Ends. And then the subtitle would be, Once the Money Runs Out. And all of this is presented by Silver Shamrock, of course, and we get the jingle again. Dun, 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 dun. 2 more days till Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. 2 more days till Halloween, Silver Shamrock. So Dan tells him to change the channel again, and the bartender puts on some football so Dr. Chalice can see how well our fantasy football team is doing.
Oh, studs and scrubs.
Look, Dan, I know we're co-captains of this team, but we took Jonathan Taylor with our first pick. Things aren't looking so good right now.
Oh, no.
And we got some other people who aren't panning out for us.
Are we?
Yeah. We're not going to dive too much deep into it, but it's not looking too good, Dan. You should just turn it off and just be like me.
Davis, why do you do this to me?
And just go back to writing your horror movie script reviews for your podcast. It'll be much less depressing that way.
I got a fun fact here, though.
All right, go ahead.
This football game, the announcer in the football game is Essex Smith. That's the voice of the gas station attendant at the beginning of the film.
Oh, okay.
That's his voice.
Oh, that's cool. In strolls the dead guy's daughter, Ellie Grimbridge, and she introduces herself to the doctor. She thanks him for going to the funeral, which nowadays would have been a deleted scene added to an extended cut for no reason.
Is it in there? I don't even think it is.
No, it's not. That's my
Yeah.
joke that, nowadays that would have been like, see the extended scenes and it, the
That was
extended
good.
cut.
That was a good
Yeah.
movie guy voice.
See the extended scenes so you could see Dr. Dan Chalice attend a boring funeral. He gives her his condolences.
I wonder if it was closed casket. Okay, I'm getting.
Well, hey, those morticians can do a heck of a lot of work.
Just got to pop his
Just
orbital bone back in
ask Bill
place.
Paxton. He does a heck of a work when he's a mortician.
Rest in peace.
Another scare movie reference. She asked him if her father said anything to him before he died. So Dan says, yeah, he said to tell Ellie I love her. She knows he's lying, but thanks him anyway. Before she can leave, Dan stops her and says that he said, we're going to make sweet, sweet love later on in this movie. Actually, he explains that he was hanging on to the Halloween mask and said, they're going to kill us all. And then he said, we're going to bang later. And then he was killed and he doesn't know what the hell is going on. So they stare into each other's eyes, but no banging yet. Instead, we cut to her father's shop.
Just a bunch of eye fucking.
Yeah, there's a bunch of eye fucking going on.
A bunch of eye fucking.
So, where she doesn't understand why anyone would want to kill her sweet father. Drugs, that's why they already said. Case closed. End of movie. She's been doing some sleuthing and has found in her father's records that he went to pick up some mask on the 20th, but never met up with his dinner date the next day and figures he ran into some trouble between here and Santa Mira, a little place not too far away where they make the mask and pot people. So, would you like the fun fact it or?
Yeah, Santa Mira it was the setting of the invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Correct, the original.
Also, I want to notice something here that it's just weird that she calls her father Papa.
Yeah,
And
people still do
it's
that.
just weird. She's like,
it's
Papa
it's
wouldn't
different
do
from
that.
family to family.
I guess it just seemed odd. I don't
Like,
know.
I don't call my father dad. I pretty much call him father.
Yeah, when I call my dad Dad.
Although I avoid calling him anything, kind of. It's like, I don't know, it's just weird to say father. It's
Hey,
just,
you.
I'm just
What's the
like,
face?
it's like, hey, there's some fucking crickets going around in this fucking establishment. Get the bug spray.
Your father works here?
On the side, he's got to do something in retirement to keep busy. Anyways, going to be a lot more crickets showing up later on. And we'll get into it a little bit more when it comes up, but there is kind of almost a pod person aspect to this film too, another almost homage.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's a little more coincidence, but it's another connection to Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So she resolves to not go back to LA until she finds out what happened to her father and figures that maybe they might know something in Santa Mira. So it's time for these two to go on a road trip. So we cut to Tom Atkins on a payphone. Heyo, payphone. The best kind of payphone shot. Where Tom is telling his ex that he can't pick up the kids again because he has to hook up with some attend some boring doctor's conference he can't get out of. Oh, I fucked that up. It was supposed to be tail, not tall. It even says tail in my notes. I don't know why I read it tall. Too late. He promises to be back in time to take the kids trick-or-treating. And before she could bitch at him some more, he hangs up and it's Miller time.
Yeah, he's like, oh, we're going on this trip. You think you take luggage and shit? He's like, all I need is this 12-pack and my mustache.
Yeah, another reference to a Tom Atkins film there.
Oh, wait,
as he
hold on.
scoops up his six-pack from the top of the payphone and he gets in the car with Ellie and they drive off to Santa Mira.
I got another fun fact
Sure.
here. This payphone is the payphone in Halloween 2.
Oh, really?
That the one lady's used. And then, my favorite Dick walks by.
Yes.
Or Dick or Nick. I don't know. Sometimes Can you hit the button for me?
Hit the button?
Yeah.
All right. This guy?
I do like Dick. All right, yes. All right. Love the payphones too.
I missed the rim shot button like 4 times in a row. Moving on.
All right.
But before we cut to the next scene, we pan over to some TV sets in a storefront and the Silver Shamrock jingle comes on again. 2 more days to Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. 2 more days to Halloween, Silver Shamrock. And then we crossfade to a freeway with some creepy music overtaking the Silver Shamrock jingle as we get a series of shots showing their travel to Santa Mira. We also get some backstory in Santa Mira. Founded in 1887 as a farming community, grew up around a large dairy. After World War II, wealthy Irishman Conal Cochran converts it into Silver Shamrock Novelties Toy Factory, now the largest manufacturer of Halloween masks. Alien doppelganger plot thwarted by future VHF station Channel 8 owner Kevin McCarthy, who was eventually put out of business by Weird Al Yankovic with the help of former vampire Long Duck Dong.
Involving
Predominantly
spatulas.
Irish community. Made a lot of references.
Let's talk about
there.
spatula. The spatula is a really good utensil use in the movie Stripes. All right.
Eventually, they finally drive past the Welcome to Santa Mira sign, and they stroll past Rafferty's gas station and proceed into town, but it seems like they are being watched by everyone. Noticing this, Dan remarks it's a company town. It even has security cameras everywhere. Oh, man, I was hoping to see Tom Atkins drive by the gas station here, but I guess that's not Rafferty's gas station. This is a different gas station.
Oh, no.
Next door. So after stopping in view of the factory, Ellie is hesitant and says they need a plan. So Dan decides they will go back to the gas station, see if they know anything posing as a couple of buyers, and rent rooms at the motel, giving us a place to bang and talk without the town watching. So they head back to the gas station. $1.32 for unleaded? Jeez, I need to go borrow my DeLorean from Arch there and Mo Rutherford's illegitimate son Hal and
Sweaty palms.
Sweaty palms.
Sweaty palms.
And go back in time and fill up my tank. And they asked the guy for a room at the motel, the gas station guy, because I guess he owns both. With all the Irish accents in this town, too, I get the feeling that McCready from Hobgoblins retired here after he quit the security guard job at the studio. You know, this would be a nice little Irish community retired too. Maybe they need an extra security guard at Silver Shamrock Novelties.
I think he's that town drunk.
No, he's a different guy. I think he might be related to Rafferty. They kind of have a similar voice.
Okay.
I think, his brother's like, come on down, they could use you at the factory.
Oh boy, us Italians do Irish accents. St. Patrick was Italian, damn it.
That is true. As he shows them to their room, Dan tells Ellie to keep him occupied while he goes to check the registry. He quickly scans it and finds her father did indeed stay there. As Rafferty goes to get their bag, their one and only bag, Conal Cochran just so happens to drive on by in his black tinted window. It's not quite like a limousine. It's almost like a caddy. It might be a little bigger. It's definitely like a luxury. I don't know if you'd call it a sedan of that era.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like a caddy. It's definitely, you don't actually see him. It's tinted out.
On IMDb, they list like all the different cars in this movie. And then like they have like really facts that are weird. They're, like two of these actresses are left-handed. Like what?
Like who? Like
what
yeah.
the hell? Who submitted that?
Right. Anyways, moving on. So Rafferty waves as he drives by and praises Cochran as a genius. Meanwhile, the Winnebago pulls up.
Oh boy.
Do you think it's the one from? Oh wait, that was a van from Hobgoblins.
No, I don't. Because
I made that joke twice. So it nearly kills Tom Atkins as a bike strapped to the front flies off and lands in front of him when it stops in the motel parking lot. The guy comes out of the Winnebago and apologizes to Dan and introduces himself as Buddy Kupfer, along with his wife, Betty, and son, Little Buddy, who promptly hops on his bike and starts riding. His mom yells at him to stay out of the street, but the kid flips her the bird. And I thought kids these days were out of control and had no respect for the elders.
It was a nice bird flip.
Yeah, he's kind of like...
It's just like a little
coy.
It wasn't fully extended.
Right, it's like extended, but he still has his other two fingers like halfway up.
Yeah. He's just like, yeah.
What a little shit. So Rafferty comes by, and Dan informs him that he already signed the registry and left $40 under the blotter and heads to his room. But on his way, he nearly gets run over again, this time by some lady bitching about the factory screwing up her orders and having to stay in this dump again. I say the same thing about having to stay here and eat here and host our podcast here.
Do we live here?
No.
I don't
live
out?
here. Yeah, I can get out. I don't know about you, but I leave immediately after recording this podcast every time.
You ever go to the gas station?
No, I go straight home. I know who's lurking at that gas station.
You don't know.
There's probably Sam Raimi's corpse hiding in one of the storage lockers there as some
you ever
psycho's
go in the
going
bathroom
around.
over there? This guy's selling condoms.
That bathroom's fucked up. It's got some weird graffiti on the wall.
You haven't been there.
I got all sorts of obscure movie references, man. You throw out something, I can pin it to a reference. And that's what I just did. You have no idea. Half the audience probably has no clue what movie I just referenced.
Are you going Kevin
Spoiler
Bacon
alert, it's got Mark
Neeson?
Hamill's ass in it. Moving on.
Star Wars?
It's Anyways, once in the room, Tom comments that this place is a zoo and that her father did stay here on the 20th. She's anxious to go to the factory right now, but Dan says to slow down, it's getting late. I could use a drink, and we could do the hunka chunka. Next, they discuss the sleeping arrangements. It would be too suspicious to get another room, so Dan thinks maybe it'd be better for him to sleep in the car than on the hard floor. She asks him, "Where do you want to sleep, Dr. Chalice?" And he replies, "That's a dumb question, Mrs. Grimbridge." And then they kiss passionately. Meanwhile,
she pursued him.
She did. Oh, 100%. She wants that Tom Atkins D. Meanwhile, Bell's
has a mustache on it. What?
Yeah. Bells chime over the PA system in Santa Mira, and Laurie Strode lets us know it's 6 p.m., time for curfew. That's awful early for a curfew.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, what the fuck?
Right. Conal Cochran's got that town on lockdown. Next, some ominous music kicks in as we cut around town, with the security cameras scanning the area and glorious closed-circuit television, black and white.
CCTV.
Yep. Chalice leaves the local market with a bottle of spirits. I wonder if the place he went was a Walnut Lake franchise. Do you think they got a franchise out here?
You should have got a Diet Pepsi while I was there.
Yeah, and a generic brand case of beer.
Yeah.
As he strolls back to his motel room, he gets cock-blocked jump scared by a hobo. Even worse, he's a wino and he is wondering if he can have a swig of his bottle. He seems pretty lean and scrappy. I wonder how many hobo goblins he could take on. Why do all these movies keep having to have hobos in them? I'm trying to keep the bum fights on the hush-hush here. I'm tired of explaining that story, so just listen to the Chud episode to get the original breakdown.
Did I tell you Daniel Stern is a treasure?
Dude, do we need to re-review Chud so you could give it like five cannolis?
Did he direct that? He should remake that.
Just remember, Daniel Stern.
Can we get a hold of Daniel Stern to remake the movie?
Just remember, he was in Bushwhacked, all right?
Hey, that's a good movie, I think.
Well,
it's been a long time.
Yeah, not really. Anyways, Dan obliges him, but before the hobo can get scooped up by my bum fight recruiters, Dan asks him if he knows anything about Cochran. The hobo then goes on to blame Cochran for the town's problems, informing Dan that he brought in every damn one of them factory people from outside and wouldn't hire him, a local. Then the guy mooches $1 off of Dan. Jeez. Then he gives him a crazy Ralph warning to watch out because they are watching on the TV cameras. And then shouts to the world, "Hey Cochran, fuck you." I'm like, yeah, I'm willing to bet that this guy is quickly going to become kill number 2 here. Dan tries to get him to quiet down, but the hobo says it doesn't matter to him. Well, it matters to me. I knew this guy in the 5th match on the fight card. He informs Dan that Cochran is probably listening and states that this is the last Halloween for his factory. Bit of foreshadowing, perhaps? He doesn't know how right he is, but for all the wrong reasons. He tells Dan that some weird shit is going on in that factory, but when Dan inquires, the hobo just says he's going to get a bunch of Molotov cocktails and burn the factory down before stumbling away. I also love the lighting with this scene at night. It has the right kind of spooky vibes with the right amount of darkness but light. I haven't talked much about the cinematography so far, but it is top notch. I know we mentioned it earlier, but I don't have it too much in my notes here, so wanted to stop and mention that for a moment. As we follow the bum back to his shanty for some fine cheese whiz dining, he's singing the Silver Shamrock jingle. Also, did this guy just walk off with Tom Atkins' booze? I don't think he did because you see Tom with another bottle later, but I'm like, where'd this guy get this bottle? Did he just walk off with Tom's booze and Tom didn't stop him? But as he wanders about outside, we got not one, but 2 Tempo magazine stingers back to back as one suit appears in front of him and another behind him as they light up his face with a flashlight. He pleads with the 2 suits, telling them that he was just kidding about burning down the factory. But they force him to his knees, and as one holds his shoulders from behind, we get kill number 2, the headless hobo. The other suit rips the bum's head clean off and tosses it aside, and his lifeless corpse falls to the ground as blood shoots from his neck. Back at the motel, Ellie is walking back from the office with a Coke in hand. No Coke, Pepsi. But she gets a jump scare from the lady who is complaining about her orders, honking her horn in her car as she walks by.
You mean Marge Gutman?
Marge Gutman, yep, she's going to introduce herself here in a second.
Yeah, that's right, I'm sorry.
You're fine. She apologizes for scaring her and then complains some more about the little guy getting the shaft since Silver Shamrock Novelty started doing big volume business. This lady, as Perry said, is Marge Gutman, and she also lets her in that the production quality on the mask may be slipping, explaining that the trademark on the mask came off. I'm sure that's not going to be important to the story either anytime soon. Hey, Scary Perry, is your trademark securely on your mask?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's on.
Yeah, it's good to know. So they part ways, and Marge goes into her room and sets the trademark down. Whoa. Sure.
You missed one of the oddest parts of this movie.
Oh, sure.
She's like, I have a shop here.
Oh, yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Come visit me here. But it's just like, that never comes up again. Like, why is that in the movie?
Well, it's just,
it's like weird filler.
It's just... Also, it's something you would do in casual conversations. Like, hey, I have a shop here. Here's my business card. Stop by sometime. Or, just for whatever reason,
Yeah, I know it's like
networking,
chat,
man.
but I don't know why
networking.
it's in a movie, but it's just filler.
It's networking.
Okay, I get it. It's networking.
Or as I like to call networking, nepotism light.
Anyways, but I have a fun fact here.
Sure.
During the time of the filming of this movie, Tom Atkins was married to that actress that played Marge.
Oh, I do remember that. So they part ways, and Marge goes into her room and sets the trademark on the dresser, then knocks it on the floor when she bumps it with her purse, revealing a strange bumpy rectangle on the backside. Meanwhile, Ellie is taking a shower, but quickly rushes out shivering, and we get some opaque glass obscuring titties, and maybe Bush even? because you kind of see like a bit of black down there, but it's hard to tell. Maybe she was just wearing like a bathing suit because before she quickly covers herself with a towel before rushing over to envelop herself in a blanket from the bed.
That's the last thing I want to do. I take a clean shower, get clean.
All right,
you know
so
how
here's
dirty
the thing.
motel rooms are, and wrap myself in a dirty Afghan.
I think this guy probably is on the up and up and keeps the things clean. He's a proud Irishman.
Probably not.
But so he mentions earlier that he put new pipes in the room. I'm like, new pipes my ass, because I'm guessing that the water was probably, I don't know how long the duration of the shower was, but given that her hair wasn't wet, I imagine she got in, turned it on, it's like, holy fucking shit, there's no hot water, and rushed out. I'm guessing that's why she was shivering. Not so much, because, even if you get out of a hot shower, yeah, it's a little chilly, but, you just towel yourself off and you're good to go. But she, rushed out like she is freezing, so I imagine that his new pipes suck. This guy's motel rating is starting to go down. 4-star resort my ass. So back with Dan, he's calling up Teddy on the motel office phone, but she informs him that someone made a mistake and they have been performing an autopsy on car parts. The contents of the bag are nothing but plastic and metal shavings. She thinks someone mixed up the envelopes. So Dan, he hangs up and goes back to the motel room. With ice and booze in hand, only to find Ellie sitting on the bed. She unwraps the blanket to reveal her sexy lingerie, and he takes her to bed. We get a brief look at some nipple before Dan moves in to suck on that bosom. Hey, it's not like they can do anything else.
This guy is my man, all right?
Oh, Tom Atkins, he's my fucking hero.
Let me tell you. All right, mustache, great. Without being too, over the top. I'm a bosom guy myself. And this guy, he's all about the bosoms.
Oh, yeah.
Also,
I
actually have another fun fact, though. This was actually the first scene that they filmed of the movie.
Oh, that's funny.
So they didn't really, the actress was saying how it's kind of weird and how, she didn't know, but they acted well for it.
Hey, you get the tough scenes out of the way early.
She said, to some magazine that she would never show her kids this movie.
Well, obviously.
Because of this part, yeah.
Continue on. So you might think it's a little weird for them, with everything that's going on to be banging, but it's like, hey, it's not like they could do anything else tonight to help the cause. Might as well pass the time with some sexual intercourse, complete with some generic, easy listening music on the radio, or as the closed captioning called it, soft rock.
Rock?
Before we can get some hot Tom Atkins action, we cut away to a shot of the motel exterior before coming back to some post-sex snuggling. But the Silver Shamrock jingle ruins the mood and starts playing on the radio. 2 more days to Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. 2 more days to Halloween, Silver Shamrock. So Jan changes the station to some more soft rock, as Ellie is ready for round 2. But Dan says, wait a minute, how old are you? I think now might be a little bit late to ask that question, Dan.
You know what? I'm old enough to call my father Papa.
It's okay, though. She's older than she looks, she claims. Meanwhile, Marge Gutman is reading a book in bed and decides to settle in for some sleep.
It's not just any book.
What book is it? I tried to look at it.
It's just called The Eagle's Gift by Carlos Castaneda. I don't think that means anything.
Yeah, I didn't bother. I'm like, I could try to stop and figure out what the book is, but I'm like, screw that.
I don't know. Actually, sorcery? I don't know. I got to read it. Yeah, it says it's something about sorcery.
Yeah, it probably ties into theme. People like to put clever little stuff like that in films. So she's reading the book, decides to call it quits for the night, when she noticed the trademark disc on the floor in the rectangle insert, so she picks it up and inspects it. Up close, it kind of looks like a tiny little circuit board computer chip almost.
Yeah.
She takes a bobby pin out of her hair and starts to pick at it. A brilliant idea if I've ever seen one. And we get a jump scare as we have kill number 3, lasered. A laser shoots out from the trademark straight into Marge's mouth. We cut back to Ellie and Dan banging, and she asks what was that loud noise. But Dan gives the proper response of, who cares, as his face is buried in titties.
Yes.
Because remember, kids, and this is the origin of this, boning is always more important than saving the world. Tom Atkins has it right. We cut back to the gruesome sight of Marge holding her trembling hands up to her face as she pulls them away to reveal the horrific damage, with her lips melted off to reveal the gums of her teeth and her eyes blood red. A bug crawls out of her mouth and into her hair, and I think it looks like a Jerusalem cricket. And the only reason I know that is from all the weird YouTube bug shit I watch on.
God, I don't.
Where I watch videos about insects. No, I like bugs. I was a bug kid as a kid. I went out and caught bugs, kept them in jars.
I mean, I knew you had a fairly young. I guess not that.
Yeah. That's something you grow out quickly.
Bugs?
Yeah,
I caught lightning bugs. All right.
No, I caught all sorts of bugs, ants, spiders. I love catching bugs.
I know you do, but I
mainly spiders and ants. I didn't, wasn't catching crickets and shit like that.
I question this.
But so I look up
this.
spider shit on YouTube. Not look it up, but it's in my news feed. Once you click on one video, the algorithm kicks in, and now you're all right. I guess I'll watch one more tarantula video before going to bed tonight and watch tarantulas eat insects. Because why not?
Hey man, whatever floats your boat. No wonder why you like Spider-Man so much.
Yeah, Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
He's my favorite. I think I'm pretty sure it's a Jerusalem cricket. I even Google imaged it just to make sure I wasn't like bullshitting.
Man,
it looks a lot like a Jerusalem cricket.
Like me. I still haven't found my boudoir yet.
Maybe that's what's chirping around here is a Jerusalem cricket wandering
Oh my
around.
God, the Jerusalem crickets in this hellhole. What?
And her body convulses while this is all happening. So we crossfade back to Ellie and Dan.
This was really good. The makeup effects of that.
Oh yeah, very good. Yeah, it's very well done. So yeah, we crossfade back to Ellie and Dan. And they're awakened by the sound of a vehicle pulling into the motel parking lot and light shining through the window. Tom gets out of bed and we see his butt as he goes to put his pants on and investigate.
All right, hold on. All right.
Sure.
Question.
All right.
Is this a butt that you want to see?
Oh, that's my next line of my notes.
I know it was.
Now, this is the only celebrity man butt or man ass that doesn't make it on my list of asses I didn't want to see but did.
All right.
Because, I'm secure enough in my heterosexuality to, admit that Tom Atkins is a very handsome man. And, being one of my all-time favorite actors, I'd gladly see that man's butt any day for a performance of his in a film. Outside, him and Ellie see Marge covered in a sheet being carried out on a stretcher and surrounded by guys in white lab coats. Dan tries to help, telling him he's a doctor, but the other men block him from doing so. Geez, Dan, you're blowing your cover here by saying you're a doctor. Nobody's supposed to know you're a doctor where you're on here for incognito business. So Rafferty tells them she'll be all right. She's getting the best care that money can buy. Cochran's car pulls up and stops, and he steps out and explains that it was just a small accident and she'll be okay. Dan inquires where they are taking her, and Cochran tells him to the factory. They have built-in medical facilities there for emergency treatment.
Why?
I'm like, man, how convenient.
Why?
Also, I'm thinking they must have a lot of on-the-job injuries at the factory.
Yeah, OSHA has got to be crawling.
Yeah. OSHA's like, look, man, all the injuries you have here, you got to put in an emergency medical facility. Either that or you got to step up the safety standards. And Cochran took the cheap route. And it's cheaper just to get the medical facility.
Why do you have a giant stone in the bottom of your basement?
Hey, now. Oh. Spoilers.
What? I did.
There's a warning at the beginning of the episode. Anyways, moving on. Cochran turns away and mutters to his surrounding entourage of lab coats what happened, and one of them says, misfire, softly, but Dan still overhears this. Dan wants to do something, but Ellie holds him back, saying they don't want us to stick out. Ellie,
you just said
I'm like, Ellie, he already blew your cover. Let him go Miller time on all these guys and save the day. Cochran gets back in his car and drives off back to the factory, and Dan and Ellie go back inside and talk about the misfire. And they have no idea what it means and think something fishy is going on. But
Don't you misfire? That's sung by Queen. That's good song.
Oh, there you go. But Ellie is still determined to go and find out what her father found out at the factory. Then we cut to the title card, Saturday the 30th. And Dan calls Teddy, and she thinks someone is tampering with the evidence because there's nothing to indicate there ever was a body. No teeth, no bones, just car parts and ashes.
It took you this long to figure that out. It really took this long to figure that out.
He asks her to do him another favor and find out everything she can about Connell Cochran. And she says it will cost him plenty of dinners when he comes back. Man, every woman is throwing themselves at handsome Tom Atkins here. And for good reason. And Tom Atkins is willing to bang this chick too. It's bound to happen. This is his rebound chick after the movie, I think. As he hangs up, we get an ominous score cue as the camera pans down, and we see a listening device attached to the side of the desk. Uh-oh. I'm sure it was just put there by Mo Rutherford to try and find out the final processing and trade secrets of the Silver Shamrock novelties.
Sweaty palms.
The other mask manufacturers probably paid him to find out everything about this place too.
The stuff mask?
I don't think so. Dan and Ellie leave the motel and park their car on the side of the street, and then they cross to the other side to go to the factory, but we get yet another Tempo magazine stinger as a suit appears in the foreground and watches them from a distance. I always love foreground background shots like this where they have like some guy pop up in the foreground watching something going on. I always like those shots. I like the cinematography of them.
Gotcha.
Inside, they consult with the secretary, but she says the order was picked up by her father, and they call in one of the loading guys to confirm this story. Suspicious. Disappointed, they head to leave, but as they do, Buddy Kupfer and his family, they come in for their meeting with Cochran, blocking their path. Ellie's ready to leave, but Dan stops her so they can see Cochran come out, who greets Buddy and his family. He praises him in front of the staff for selling more Silver Shamrock masks than any other outlet in the country. Cochran goes to shake Dan's hand, but he hesitates as he goes to greet them. Mr. and Mrs. And Dan reacts quickly and says, Smith. Really, Dan, that's the best you could come up with?
I'm Dr. Smith.
You already inquired about Ellie's dad's order. I guess it could be his last name is Smith and she married him, so, she's Mrs. Smith. But this story you are weaving is filled with more holes than Swiss cheese here. So they shake hands, and he apologized for the disturbance last night and assures them that Mrs. Gutman is going to be just fine and has been flown to a hospital in San Francisco. He adds about the confusion over their order. A replacement order is being prepared free of charge. The whole thing's on me. This Cochran isn't so bad. He seems to be a stand-up businessman. After all, he sent us these Silver Shamrock masks and sponsored this podcast.
What a great guy.
I know, what a great guy. At this statement, everyone applauds at Cochran's generosity, and everybody's all smiles. So Cochran offers to take the Kupfers on a guided tour of the factory. And Buddy, he chimes in and asks if his friends can come along. Dude, you just met these people yesterday. They're your, friends now? So Cochran says he was just about to ask them, but the initial look on his face betrays his dismay at this. They agree, and off on the tour they go. So they go on the tour of the factory, and damn, what I would have given for one of these original Silver Shamrock masks being made here. These new ones just aren't quite the right color or material. They're more stiff compared to those. Those look more almost cloth-like in their latex. You know what I mean? Especially the pumpkin mask when they're holding it and everything.
I get you.
Although I don't own the new skeleton or witch, I think those still look pretty similar. They're probably not of the same material.
Actually, yeah, I got something here. So the mask in this movie, they were made by Don Post? Studios. Yeah, Don Post Studios.
Oh, yeah.
So originally, I guess when Wallace was looking at what he had, they had the witch mask and the skeleton mask.
Mm-hmm.
So they made slight adjustments to it for the movie, and they actually created the jack-o'-lantern mask for this movie.
Oh, that's cool. I knew that there was some reuse of mask there that I didn't know about the pumpkin one. Then they reach a Hall of Fame of Cochran's creations, with some mechanically operated musical instruments and automated Tinker toys and collages. I'm sure that's not going to have any impact on the plot coming up. Buddy gushes at this part of the tour and has to fill in Doc Chalice about Cochran being the all-time practical joke genius.
Oh my God.
I mean, he invented the sticky toilet paper. Is that what that stuff is sticking to your pants, Perry?
Hey.
And the gas station might have pulled a fast one on you, switching out the
prefer,
toilet paper for novelty.
I prefer sticky toilet paper. Sweaty palms and sticky toilet paper.
So, although, what the hell is the dead dwarf gag? Is it like a gnome, like a garden gnome type thing? Or is it an actual joke dead little person?
I don't know. When they were saying some of this stuff, I'm like...
Does this movie need canceled now because it refers to little people as dwarfs? I don't know what they're referencing.
I mean,
or is it an actual
I got nothing
fantasy dwarf?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's why I think maybe a dead garden gnome or something. I have no idea. On the next part of the tour...
There was a third one. Right?
Yeah, there was a couple other... I didn't list them all.
It was a foam something. Axe or something. I don't know.
There's the dead dwarf, the sticky toilet paper. I forget the third one. I didn't write it down. I was trying to save on notes.
All right, yeah. Anyways.
So on the next part of the tour, they see some of the almost finished mask, and little asshole Buddy wants one. This kid is the biggest brat there is.
I don't know. I think
he picks
the bad kid from
well, he's not the biggest brat, but I mean he's still pretty bratty.
From Christmas Evil.
Oh yeah.
Bitch
oh God. What was that kid's name? He has a weird name that's not like a normal name.
Oh yeah, it's been a few episodes ago.
It's something. Isn't his last name Gonzalez though, or something like that?
Yeah. Oh, I just put bitch slapped or something.
Man, I guess I could check my notes real quick.
It was Ricardo Rivera.
No, was it Ricardo?
I can look it up real fast if you want me to.
He had a weird name, though. Let me check my Christmas Evil notes.
And then he had a hard-on for the little girl. I mean, what? Yeah. Oh, Moss Garcia.
Moss Garcia. That was it. Thank you. taking too long to find it in my old notes.
Who's worse, Moscar
Moss Garcia for sure, but Little Buddy is he's giving him a run for his money with flipping off his mother. He probably cuts out the photos from Penthouse magazines too. But yeah, so he runs over and he picks out one. He's like, I want that one. But Cochran denies him and grabs one packaged up that has been through final processing and puts it on his head. Buddy asks his wife, what final process? What indeed? When he inquires outside, Cochran dismisses it as nothing more than quality inspection, but with a couple of trade secrets. Buddy would love to take a look, but Cochran shuts him down. Dan tries to persuade him by adding, not even for your best salesman? But Cochran counters that part of the inspection involves dangerous volatile chemicals. Nope, nothing suspicious about that.
All right, before you move on too much, I got a fun fact of when they're walking through this, museum type stuff. I think maybe during his, dwarf in a bag or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a real quick glimpse of the killer's mask from the movie Strange Behavior.
Okay.
The slasher movie from 1981. Also known as Dead Kids, or I think Dead Kids or something like that.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I have heard of it. And I remember there's some mask on the shelves in the office, too. I was curious if maybe any of those had something.
Maybe that's one of them, yeah.
But yeah, there's some mask in that Hall of Fame room, too. Yeah, I'm curious, I think the Silver Shamrock mask are in there, but I'm also curious as to if any of those were props for other things, or maybe just more random Don Post, right? Not Dan Post. Dan Chalice on the brain.
Yeah, Don Post could have been.
But they could have been more masks from Don Post that they just used for decoration.
Yeah, I mean.
But I'm glad you caught.
He did
I'm glad you figured out at least one.
He did Michael Myers' mask for Halloween.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. He took the Shatner mask and.
So you're letting they took everybody from Halloween.
Dude, I told you.
And then they made 100% better movie.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say better than the original Halloween, but better than Halloween 2 for sure.
I mean, yeah. Okay. Anyways,
moving on. That's all right. So they walk away, and Cochran asks Buddy and his family to have breakfast with them the next morning to review some sales material, quote. We also find out from Buddy's wife that Cochran is one of the richest men in the world, just for selling cheap gags and Halloween masks. Well, he is also CEO of OCP, too, so he just doesn't like to brag about that. He's Dan O'Hearley. He plays the old man, the CEO of Omni Consumer Products in RoboCop.
Oh yeah.
Another good. He's kind of not very featured much in that film. He's kind of low key in that film, but he's still pretty good in it. And not that RoboCop 2 is the greatest sequel, but he has a more prominent part in that, and you see he's more of a bit of a sleazy businessman in that, all about the bottom line. Whereas in this one, in the original RoboCop, you get more focused on Dick Jones being the big corporate baddie. Anyways, Dan is scoping out the joint and sees a suit watching from the factory roof and another standing by some trucks. So Dan moves to grab Ellie and leave, and as they walk away, informs her about the suits who look like the man who killed her father. As a door opens to a storage area and a forklift drives out, Ellie sees part of her father's car peeking out from underneath a tarp and runs off like an idiot to get a closer look. But her path is quickly blocked by 3 suits, forcing Ellie to back off. Cochran remarks, "Trade secrets," to Buddy and laughs it off. Back at their room, Dan and Ellie discuss their next move. I love how Dan thinks they should call the Marines. I'm like, that's the best idea I've ever heard.
Should call that one guy.
It should be like
the guy's militia.
It'd be like a Monster Squad where they call in the army.
No, Servino's mission.
Oh yeah. Just gets Paul. Yeah, call up Mo Rutherford. Mo Rutherford's probably on the up and up, ready to bring in Paul Servino to storm this place, just like he did the Stuff Factory.
Sweaty palm.
They decide to leave, but Dan goes to call the police first as the eerie music kicks in. In the motel office, Dan picks up the phone and tries to ask the operator for the police.
You mean Laurie Strode?
Yeah, I'm getting to that next.
Sorry.
Tries to call the police, but Jamie Lee tells her that she cannot complete the call as dialed to Sting, and the Silver Shamrock jingle starts to play on the TV, almost taunting Chalice. One more day till Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. One more day to Halloween, Silver Shamrock. He tries again, but gets the same message. Oh man, I might make a musical reference here.
All right.
Do you think he's hoping that somebody gets his message in a bottle? He's sending out an SOS to the world? That's the police, right?
Yeah.
So,
okay.
I hope that somebody gets my... Because, he's trying to send out
All
an
right.
SOS. Well, I was
bump me
also
on
making
that.
a Sting reference.
Yeah,
because,
I got you.
he's trying to call the police, but Sting is unavailable. It's a bit of a roundabout joke there. It wasn't actually in my notes.
Took me a little bit. But I get what you're throwing.
This kind of actually ruins my later on joke because I didn't have any other musical jokes in this that I usually have. But, oh well. So yeah, he tries again, but gets the same message. So Dan heads back outside, and the eerie music follows him once again. But back inside the room, Ellie is missing. Bum, bum, bum. Dan looks back outside, and we get our 100th Tempo magazine stinger as 5 suits stand in the street watching, and then start to close in. Dan shuts the door and makes a break for it out the bathroom window as they bust down the door. Dan starts to silent snake his way through Santa Mira, trying to evade patrol cars looking for him. We see that Ellie has been captured and taken to the factory. Meanwhile, Dan finds a phone booth and tries to call the police again, but gets the same pre-recorded Jamie Lee message. So he sprints off to the factory and sneaks inside through a conveniently ajar window. Once inside, he makes his way to a room marked private, where he finds an old lady knitting. And Tom Atkins does his best Christian Bale Batman impression and asks, "Where's the girl?" Seriously, Tom Atkins is the man. He openly intimidates this frail old lady with no hesitation. Oh, so this is some random old lady in this place. Like, she would really know where she is. But that's how obsessed he is for this poontang. He's...
No, it's not the poontang. It's all about the buoys,
Well,
brother.
you know what I mean, but that's how obsessed he is for this...
The buoys.
For this piece, for this side piece he's got. He then violently shakes the woman, and we are running out of Tempo magazine stingers as the lady's head falls off, revealing a bunch of rotating gears and chains inside. As Yaphet Kotto would say, "She's a damn robot!" That went over your head. I don't know, but Yaphet Kotto plays I forget his character's name in Alien, but remember when they beat the shit out of Ash with the fire extinguisher and his head comes off? It's probably been a while since you've seen Alien. But he's in the legendary deck building game of Alien.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the guy, his ultimate card is it's a robot, and he gets the bonus when fighting robots with that cards, or androids, I should say. But that's his line from that movie. Tom Atkins is shocked. But just as he regains his composure, we get yet another super synthy Tempo magazine stinger as a suit reaches through the shadows of the doorway, grabbing the doc and hurling him into the other room. Oh, and going back to the "it's a robot" thing, I think I just recently used that as the spoiler intro for an episode. It's funny how I always seem to somehow reference last episode's spoiler intro in the next episode. It's just complete coincidence how that worked out. So Dan gets back up and cold cocks Warlock. But it doesn't even faze the guy. I'm pretty sure this one's played by Dan Warlock too, based on the photo you sent me the other day with the behind the scenes of Halloween 2.
Yeah,
he's got the Dan Warlock got Dan Chalice on the brain here. The Dick Warlock haircut.
I do like Dick.
So they grapple and wrestle to the ground. Dan ends up on top of the suit and starts punching him in the stomach repeatedly. The suit eventually loosens his grasp and lets go and starts to spew yellow goo from his mouth as Dan punches into his stomach and slowly pulls out a bunch of wires in his goo-covered hands. Better than spewing the stuff, I suppose. Like the people from last episode was Hobgoblins, two episodes ago. And I'm running out of Tempo magazines here as we get yet another stinger as another suit grabs Dan's shoulders as he stares at the goo on his hand.
I don't think they printed this many.
Right? And is apprehended. Cochran shows up carrying the old woman's robot head and is disappointed in the loss of such a rare and old piece. He's kind of completely engulfed in this until he sets the head down and then he changes on a dime from being somber over the lost antique to kind of being upbeat and smiling at as he greets Dr. Chalice. By name, of course, because, fucking Mr. Smith, like he really thought that was going to fly. Dan wants to know where Ellie is, and Cochran assures him that she is resting now. And Cochran starts to get creepy, remarking, "It will be Halloween morning soon. It's going to be a busy day for me." And so they take him away as we crossfade to a shot of the town with the title card, Sunday the 31st, Halloween. The suits and Cochran take Dan to final processing, but Cochran stops on the way to take in a big breath and then exhale in satisfaction, as his plans are slowly going into motion. Once inside, they take an elevator, and on the ride down, Cochran elaborates on the robot suits guarding him, saying the internals were quite easy to produce, but the outer skin and parts took much longer to perfect, but compares it to, like making a mask. One of the suits sneezes, and Cochran remarks on how convincing they look and their obedience, unlike most human beings. Kind of like some people I know.
Would some people I guess one thing I've read criticize here how they're supposed to be lifelike. I guess somebody must have like watched it like really closely. These androids or whatever, they don't blink, and you're trying to make them be lifelike, but they don't blink in the movie like a natural thing somebody does.
It's kind of like a little hint that there's something not right going on.
Well, yeah.
I mean, they're played by real actors. I'm surprised they got them not to blink.
Yeah, that's like, hey,
sure
Dick, don't blink, Dick.
Yeah, it's one of those things you notice on probably repeat viewings. Give you like little hints as to what's transpiring. So they exit the elevators and descend some stairs, and Cochran reveals to Dan a room combining modern and ancient technology, as he puts it, with a bunch of computers, electronic equipment, and TV monitors in a circle. And right in the middle, on the other side of the room, is that missing slab of Stonehenge from the beginning news report, with a bunch of workers chipping away at it as ominous music plays. See, everything set up in the first act always comes around in the third act, just like every movie. Upon revealing the stone to Dan, Cochran chuckles and says, "They had a time getting it here, and you wouldn't believe how we did it." And yet he never reveals how they did. Of course, it doesn't need explained, and that's part of the fun, is that you just get to go along with it.
You know what I'm forced to believe in this?
What's that?
It's magic. So David Copperfield is involved.
Oh, yeah, he's involved in the terror train, and they took the terror train. Because you're like,
well, why do bugs come out when you wear the...
you know what he did?
You know
what he did?
It's magic.
He stuck
it's David... This is... I don't know what's more impressive, your face melting into bugs or a cigarette through a car. I'm sorry, but I had to get here because I feel like David Copperfield deserves some damn credit for this movie.
You know how they got there? David Copperfield stuck it through a quarter. Oh, how'd he do it? Anyways, they go over to a table where they're taking tiny parts of Stonehenge and attaching to the chips on the Silver Shamrock trademarks that go on the back of the mask, displaying that even a tiny particle has devastating power. Now, we aren't at the big reveal yet, but I'm going to bring this up now. But why are they still making masks at this point?
Yeah.
How many can they honestly hope to finish, ship to stores, and sell on Halloween Day before the big giveaway? I know it's so we can see the process and it's part of the exposition, filling in the audience on what's happening, but I guess it makes sense from a narrative standpoint to explain to you everything that's happening, but not from a logical standpoint. And do they really think they're going to sell more masks next year?
Yeah, I mean...
unless they plan on doing a round 2 and just forcing the mask on people. I don't know. Next, they walk over to the TV monitors and computer banks, and he shows to Dan on the monitor Ellie strapped to a bed in one room, and Mrs. Gutman dead and covered in a sheet in another. Dan accuses him of killing her, but Cochran explains that it was a misfire, and what he needs to see is an actual a demonstration.
Sorry.
All right. We then cut to a cold steel room decorated with living room furnishings and a closed-circuit camera to monitor the inside, as the Kupfers are escorted inside for Buddy to take notes on the commercial Cochran alluded to earlier. The suits lock them in the room, and outside the camera pans down to reveal the label on the door, Test Room A. Nope, nothing suspicious about that. Little Buddy is still an annoying little brat, complaining he has to use the bathroom. Big Buddy still can't quite figure out why they just won't take his orders for next year. I can't figure out either, since they are still making masks.
Me too.
His wife remarks that maybe they aren't going to have Halloween next year. The foreshadowing is very strong in this one. Cochran tells them to roll the commercial, and scientists start to flip some switches and turn some knobs on the control panels, and the TV in the test room flickers to life, playing the Silver Shamrock commercial.
Hold on. So when this happens, he presses buttons. There's numbers. The technician presses 666.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's very funny.
Yeah.
Now, Scary Perry, I know it's not quite 9 o'clock in time for the big giveaway yet, but our good friend and sponsor, Connell Cochran and Silver Shamrock Novelties, has also given us early access to the big giveaway commercial as well. So, as the commercial says, it's time to put on your mask and watch the Magic Pumpkin. And we'll take a brief break here so Perry can watch. Watch the Magic Pumpkin. Watch. Well, we're back here, but doesn't look like now. Scary Perry took it very literally and put on his Silver Shamrock mask, but I did not. And and it looks like Scary Perry's face is melted, and there's a bunch of fucking bugs and snakes crawling out of it.
Jerusalem bugs.
It looks like he's Looks like he's dead over there.
In
the process of dying.
Scary podcast died.
And, look at all these bugs. I mean, it's not really more bugs than we're not used to crawling around this filthy place, so I'll just brush them aside.
Joe's apartment. Those are my friends.
And I'll just keep going on with the podcast solo here.
Scary pod.
And so just like Scary Perry, the kid puts on his mask and watches the commercial. Well, his mother says not to get too close. You'll ruin your eyes. I feel like that's a thing all moms say about sitting too close to the TV. On the TV,
which happens to be completely false.
What was that? Was that a ghost I heard? I mean, Scary Perry's lying there dead over there.
Scary
I might have to get I don't know what this paranormal interference is, but I'll keep chugging on. Solo. The podcast must go on, people, even with the death of Scary Perry. On the TV, the screen begins to flash back and forth between a picture of the pixelated pumpkin and a bright white screen, starting off flashing back and forth slowly, but quickly increasing in speed and tempo between the flashes.
Warning, if you have known to have seizures, please do not watch this.
I don't know where that voice came from. During this, the wife laughs it off as one big joke, and she doesn't know how right she is. But her laughter is interrupted as we hear a bunch of crunching and crinkling noises from little Buddy's head. As he reaches up and grabs his head, we see the mask start to melt, peel, and come apart as he collapses to the ground. And we have kill number 3, Creepy Crawlies.
4, man.
This is number 3.
You just said that's 4, dude.
This is number 3.
No.
I don't know who I'm arguing with here.
4. Okay, you got Papa, you got Marge, you got Hobo.
I forgot
and then
about
you got
I
Kid.
misnumbered my kills.
Papa.
All right, well, I guess I misnumbered my kills here. How'd I do that?
Quite the mathematician you are.
Anyways, moving on. So, kill number 4. All sorts of insects and some snakes begin to pour out of little Buddy's head, with what little you see of his face pale and blotchy like Mrs. Gutman. This is quickly followed by kill number 5, as Betty Kupfer faints and is seemingly frightened to death. Buddy screams and tries to lock door, but it's no use, and he becomes kill number 6. Why did it have to be snakes? As he is cornered and bitten by a rattlesnake and collapses. All Dan can do is look on and clench his fist and look on in shock at the gruesome sight while Cochran smiles grimly. I suppose we shouldn't be surprised that the guy who greenlit RoboCop would weaponize Halloween mask, right?
When he did that fist clenching, I think that was a little overacting. I'm like,
I don't know who's saying this, but I will agree with them. He is then taken away, and we cut to a bunch of TV sets in a storefront playing the Final Days Silver Shamrock jingle. Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
Rocco, I'm coming for your soul.
And man, I wish I had more time, or that he was in town, because we would have had we would have tried to get the composer of our theme song, our good buddy Craig Wensick, to
Tom Atkins?
Tom Atkins, Dot Double, Craig Wensick, to do our own version of the jingle so we could use it freely and not have to worry about, fair use and stuff like that. During this, we then get a montage of kids grabbing masks from store shelves and going trick-or-treating around the country. And it's hilarious because most of them were wearing like a normal costume, like there's this ballerina, but they're mismatched with Silver Shamrock mask over their faces, like the ballerina has on the pumpkin head. While the announcer reminds us to be in front of our TVs for the horror-thon and the big giveaway at 9. I mean, they even have a van with loudspeakers going around reminding the kids. I guess Cochran does have deep pockets. We cut to Teddy at the corners, who's trying to get a hold of Dan at the motel while she is inspecting some gear she is looking at. But she gets shut down by the operator too, so she calls some guy, Roger, to come and take a look at it because she doesn't think it's a car part, and he agrees to look at it tomorrow. I wish I had a good Roger reference, but we haven't really talked about any Roger movies yet.
Roger.
I mean, I guess you could do Roger from Dawn of the Dead, but I don't know. I feel like we could come up, not that Roger from Dawn of the Dead isn't awesome, but we could come up with a better Roger. No, like a Roger from a horror movie. Tie this in, connect the universe here.
Roger.
Maybe we'll allude to it in another episode. We'll find a good Roger to connect here. While she is on the phone, the camera pans over, and we get some eerie chiming music as we see one of the android suits appear in the doorway. It's not quite a stinger. He goes to a drawer and pulls out a surgical drill, as Frank would say, for cracking skulls, and he gently sets it on the table. I love the close-up shots just showing the gloved hands doing the work, reaching in and grabbing the drill and then setting it on the table. Love stuff like that. She continues to look at the parts and quietly remarks, "Oh my God," as it is implied that she realizes the grim reality that those are the parts of the robot man who killed Ellie's father. And that's not how you say it. You're supposed to say it, "Oh my God.
It took you this damn long."
I still, to this day, do not know what she saw in that random assortment of parts to make her come to that conclusion, because she clearly figures out
She just has
something's not right here.
Epiphany out of nowhere.
Like, I don't know if there's like a specific thing. Like, if there would have been like the charred remains of a fake eyeball in there or something, like, okay. If you guys see something there that I don't, let me know. Maybe it's in the novelization.
Enhance.
Right. But before she can make a call to the sheriff, we have not quite the last Tempo magazine stinger as the gloved hand of the android suit slams down on the, it's not the receiver. The receiver is like the part that you hold, right? But what's the part with the prongs that you push down on the phone to hang up? I don't know. What's it called? It's been so long. I'm pretty sure the receiver is the actual, like, the phone itself that you held up to your thing. That's the receiver because it receives the voice.
Pick up the receiver, I'll make you a believer.
Man, this ghost is getting real singy. And then
that's Blondie for you kids out there.
And then pins her to the ground. As he is on top of her, he grabs the drill from the table, and we have kill number 7, driller killer. And he drills a hole through her skull and into her brain. Maybe we'll get around to reviewing driller killer someday. And this is not shown, of course.
The receiver of a phone is the part you listen to.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. But the actual, the part where you put the phone back on top of, and that's where the two prongs stick up that hang up.
I'm looking at like diagrams of phones here. This is weird, okay?
I know it has a technical term, but I'm not sure what it's called.
All right, anyways.
It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal, random person that, for some reason, it's a voice I keep hearing. And, of course, this kill isn't shown. We can get away with people's faces getting melted, yellow goo, blood, and bugs coming out of people's heads, but a drill going into the head was too gruesome or tough of an effect to do.
I actually have an effect here.
Sure.
So the actress here for Teddy is Wendy Westberg.
Yes.
So they filmed it when they were filming it originally, it was just like a stunt person. The drill bit, it got caught in her hair, and it like pulled out some of her hair.
Uh-oh.
And Wallace immediately told him to stop filming for the day because he was very concerned for her, but she was okay. So the next day they filmed it again, but Wallace did it himself to make sure so maybe I don't know if that's why.
Gotcha.
I know.
So kill number 8, not 7.
And a lot of
7.
A lot of foreign films like this part, even though they don't show anything here, really, they like cut out more of this part.
Yeah, I could see why with the video nasties and everything going on at the time.
Yeah.
Also, since they don't actually show the drill going in, I don't mind it, but considering I have seen it happen to Giovanni Lombardo Radice, I'm a little disappointed, as I referenced earlier. The intense score stops, leaving only the soft rock on the radio to fill the air as the android
yacht
leaves.
rock.
We cut back to an eerily quiet Santa Mira, and the title card lets us know it is 7:30 p.m. We only have 1.5 hours until the big giveaway. We join Dr. Chalice, strapped to a chair in a room with a TV, as Cochran tells him to enjoy the Horathon and don't forget to watch the big giveaway after. Right, Scary Perry?
Yes.
Oh, wait. Scary Perry's gone.
Watch the horror.
Oh, my God. It's the ghost of Scary Perry. He finally appeared in front of me. Oh, man.
Mad Pancaker, you must atone for your sins.
I don't need to atone for nothing. I gotta figure out what to do about this ghost. I might have to get an exorcist. But someone from that cheap Italian exorcist knockoff. We can't afford anyone written by William Peter Blake.
Have you met my friend Casper?
Maybe I'll just get the Ghostbusters over here. That's the easiest way to solve the problem. Dan asks him...
Hey, I have a question. Do ghosts have dicks?
It's not a bad question, Bert.
Okay.
I need to get my sound bites. Dan asks him why he is doing it, but does he need a reason? We find out that Betty was right. It is a big joke. The best ever, in fact, and a joke on the children. But there is a better reason, and Cochran launches on his chilling and haunting speech, delivered to perfection by O'Hearley, which truly makes the film, while the synth kicks in. You don't really know much about Halloween. You thought no further than the strange custom of having your children wear masks and go out begging for candy. It was the start of the year in our old Celtic lands, and we'd be waiting in our houses of wattles and clay. The barriers would be down, you see, between the real and the unreal. and the dead might be looking in to sit by our fires of turf. Halloween, the festival of Samhain. The last great one took place 3,000 years ago, and the hills ran red with the blood of animals and children. I'm not gonna lie, I prefer Dr. Loomis's pronunciation, even though Hurley's is the correct pronunciation of Samhain. I prefer Sam Hain. Thank you very much.
Have you ever met my friend Sam? Sam Hain?
Dan replies, sacrifices, to which Cochran replies, it was a part of our world, and Dan follows it up with the question, witchcraft? My response is, we'll get to it, and its many, many sequels eventually, unfortunately. Cochran continues that it's a way for them to control our environment, not so different from today, and it's time again because the planets are in alignment. We needed this much explanation on his motive, but we couldn't get one for the movement of a huge slab of Stonehenge, huh?
David Copperfield magic.
Yeah, David Copperfield stuck through a corner and appeared on the other side of the world. What can I say?
I believe that.
I mean, he made the Statue of Liberty disappear. He made that thing disappear.
He made it snow and Christmas Evil.
That's right. He loaded it on the terror train and shipped it to California. He concludes with, the world is going to change tonight, Doctor. I'm glad you will be able to watch it. As he puts a skeleton mask on Dan and turns on the TV. Yeah, he gets to watch the TV edit of Halloween. It's going to change his world, all right. It's going to set up that sister plot twist in the sequel. Hey, at least he gets to watch a 5 pancake covered in syrup rated film before he dies. Before he leaves, he wishes the Doctor Happy Halloween as Carpenter's chilling score from the first film plays, and then closes the door and locks it behind him. Dan needs to escape his restraints, so he shimmies his chair over to the TV and kicks in the glass so he doesn't have to look at his bitch of an ex-wife on the TV anymore. I think it's funny that the part that's on TV is with Annie going outside. It's kind of funny. He then uses the glass to cut his restraints and free himself. Cochran is too busy talking on the phone to some random TV executive and excited about getting a 43 share to notice this on the camera monitors. Wish we could get a 43 share of anything. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast, people, to help spread the word. Spread the good word of the International House of Horror. Dan chucks his mask with one hand onto the camera from where he is sitting. An impressive feat. Back in final processing.
Hold on.
Sure.
Fun fact here. You say impressive feat?
Well, I know it's a cut.
No, it is impressive feat. So I guess maybe he was just fooling around. This is before he's filming, when he's sitting in the chair. And he threw the mask on the camera. And Wallace saw it. And he's like, I like that. Because they were originally going to do that.
Yeah,
and
that's cool.
He had to do over 40 takes to get it to happen again.
It's weird, though, because when they show him throwing it, they just cut to the mask going on there. So why need to have him do the complete throw? Why not just have him toss it, then cut, and have somebody, like, throw the mask on from, like, a short distance away?
I don't know.
I guess they wanted it to be authentic. It's kind of like in Scott Pilgrim when he tosses the package in the dumpster overhead. They did a million takes of that, too.
Did they?
Yeah. A scientist noticed that the camera isn't working and alerts Cochran. Meanwhile, Dan gets to Die Hard it and John McClane it through the air ducts to escape his locked room while some androids inspect the room to reveal that Chalice has escaped. As they stand there awkwardly in front of the camera, holding the mask and the duct grate up for them to see. Dan makes his way to the roof and then makes his way back inside to the only phone still in town that can dial out while evading patrolling androids. Who does he call? Not Ghostbusters, but of course his ex-wife. That's who I would call first when there's a catastrophic event is about to happen. She bitches at him again for not picking up the kids Saturday, but he just tells her to shut up and tells her to get rid of the kids' Silver Shamrock mask, explaining that some guy she probably never heard of and his family was killed. But she doesn't believe him and tells him to go to hell, thinking he's just jealous, before hanging up. But using the phone has given away his position in the control center, and before he can make another call, he hears footsteps from the approaching suits and runs off. He makes his way to Ellie's holding cell and frees her, but they see this on the camera and the suits go to get him. We also get a shot of the clock, 8:26. Only 34 minutes left until the big giveaway. However, the suits they send after him must be incompetent because they completely miss him and just run the other way and end up back in the main room of final processing. They use a conveniently placed rolling cart of masks to hide their movement in the background of the room as they sneak their way around. My Tempo Magazine stinger count is about to run out because we get yet another one when a suit walks in front and blocks their path around this stone pillar. So he doesn't notice them, but he's blocking their path, so they double back and hide behind some cardboard boxes. But Dan discovers that these boxes contain the Silver Shamrock mask trademarks with the Stonehenge chips in them. So Dan sneaks off alone to the control panels, and miraculously, he makes it to there unseen as everyone is too busy looking at other panels and monitors. He must be like Sam Fisher or something. So he pushes some buttons and cues up the big giveaway commercial, but this alerts Cochran to his presence. He runs off, but Cochran sends the android suits after him. Dan and Ellie run up the stairs with the box onto the scaffolding in the rafters, and before the suits can reach them, they must be the slowest robots ever. It's Dick Warlock doing his Michael Myers slow walk impression, apparently.
I guess so.
So they dump the box over the railing, and it starts raining Silver Shamrock trademarks, creating a laser light show with the magic pumpkin on the monitors that starts zapping all the scientists and androids below. The commercial continues to play, and Cochran turns to see the slab of Stonehenge begin to glow a bluish white, and a similar glow ring of light starts to swirl around the circle of TV monitors around the control consoles. All Conno Cochran can do is look up at them in the rafters, smile, and clap. After all, the man appreciates a good joke. And he's such a great villain to just recognize when he's beat and still be genuinely creepy about it. There's just something still so creepy about him, just softly clapping and staring up and smiling at them.
Yeah, that was
like
really
he
good.
knows like his
really
plan is still in motion and it still can't be stopped anyways. Dan and Ellie run off as lasers shoot out from the stone slab and the circle swirling the light around the TV monitors and hit Cochran, and he glows white and disappears. I forget what they call those type of effects, but a neat little effect there.
That would be kill number.
I don't call that a kill because it's not by a bad guy. Yeah, you don't count when the bad guys get killed. You don't count when Michael Myers gets killed.
All right.
I don't count the bad guys getting killed.
Fair enough.
But speaking of which, Tom Atkins just killed our only sponsor. Now we have to find a new one. Who's going to sponsor this Halloween podcast next time?
Maybe Sam Hain.
Then it's Michael Bay explosion time as the slab explodes with sparks flying everywhere. The control terminals and monitors explode. Outside, Dan and Ellie run away from the burning factory in a sort of composite shot that doesn't look the best. It's forgivable for this late in the movie. They hop in their car and they drive away from Santa Mira, and Dan tunes the radio to a weather report to find out the time. It's 8:48 p.m., 12 minutes to the big giveaway. Yes, the movie is 1 hour and 37 minutes, but the passage of time in the last 20 minutes has been really fast even by movie standards. After the report, a commercial comes on to remind us of the big giveaway coming up, but Dan shuts it off, and Dan tries to figure out what they are going to do, but Ellie just stares ahead with a blank expression on her face. Nothing suspicious about that.
Nope, not at all.
Taking the same thing, Dan asks if she is okay, and she turns, and we get yet another Tempo magazine stinger as she grabs his head and claws at his face, and they go off-roading, and things go as well as you expect, and they crash into a tree. My arm's getting tired from having to keep lifting up this Tempo magazine. Dan stumbles out of the car, and when he goes around to check the passenger side, we see one of Ellie's arms hanging from the door with wires hanging out, and we get another Tempo magazine stinger. Geez, are we done with these yet? Like I said, my arm's getting tired. As Stepford wife Ellie jump scares Dan and tries to choke him with her one good arm. Also, kill number 9 technically. Stepford wiped. Ellie was turned into a Cochran robot off screen? Question mark. So he grabs a tire iron from the open trunk.
So this is 8 and 9 with the bad guy?
No, well, no, not counting the bad guy. This is 9 because what's her face getting drilled was kill number 8.
Oh.
This is kill number 9. Because Ellie is dead. Do you see what I'm saying? Or it's implied that she's dead. You know what I mean?
Buddy's mom, Buddy's dad. Drill.
Mm-hmm.
I think you were a jack off.
No, because you told me that little buddy was kill number 5.
No, you said he was 4.
Yeah, but you said he was number 5 because I had 2 number 3s.
What?
Oh, man, don't make me go. All right.
Are we going to do this?
Yeah, we're going to do this.
You know what they say? They say 9. No, they say 9 is the count.
Yeah.
So
you got number 1, her dad.
Papa.
Yeah.
Number
2 is the hobo. Yes, number 2 is the hobo.
Oh.
Number 3 is Marge Gutman getting lasered. Then number 4,
Buddy, little Buddy,
is Buddy.
Yeah.
5 and 6
are the dad and mom.
Oh, you know what? In my notes, I missed kill number 5. I called kill number 5 kill number 6. So it made the order right. Kill number 7, kill number 8. Who's kill number 9 then?
I don't know.
Unless they're counting
Cochran.
So kill number 8 then. I apparently did get back on the right kill track. Anyways, moving on here. So he grabs a tire iron from the trunk
The kill count.
and bashes her in the head, wants to knock her off. She stands there with some yellow goo dripping from her mouth as the servo in her severed limb spins aimlessly, which looks really creepy. He then proceeds to knock her block off with a second swing, and as her head dangles from a few strands of skin and wires, she collapses, and we get a cool shot of her head lying separate from the body and noises of the gear spinning inside as her eyes look around. So Dan wanders back into the car, and as he closes the passenger door, the arm flies off and we get the second to last Tempo magazine stinger as the hand reaches up and chokes Dan. I think second to last. Hopefully. Like I said, my arm's getting tired. He exits the car and pries it off and tosses it away. He stands there relieved and checks his watch. It's about 10 till 9, but we finally get the last Tempo magazine stinger as Stepford wife Ellie's headless body walks towards him, trying to grab him, but quickly slides down and clutches at his pant leg before letting go and lying lifeless on the ground. Damn, Cochran makes a durable sex bot. Also, I think it might have just been sliding down to go into blowjob mode. That was going into pre-programmed blowjob mode. No? All right, well.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at a kill count.
Oh, okay. Dan steps over the robot and abandons the car plan and sprints off towards civilization. Let's face it, it probably wouldn't have started anyways. It's a horror movie. We cut back to the gas station from the beginning, and Hitchhiker's brother is there manning the pumps. The 80s, when someone would actually pump your gas for you and you didn't have to get out of the car. Dan runs up to the guy, out of breath, and barely yells out the words, "I need your phone. It's a matter of life and death." I love how this ending parallels the beginning with somebody running towards, the gas station. Mm-hmm. Although you don't actually see him run towards the gas station. He just kind of appears inside it. Inside, we get a close-up of the clock as it ticks toward 9 with the Silver Shamrock jingle. Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Already playing on the TV. As Dan tries to reason with some TV broadcast person on the phone that the commercial airs will mean the deaths of millions and everyone watching. While a car pulls up and a bunch of kids in Silver Shamrock masks get out for some candy and to watch the big giveaway. They didn't plan ahead if they have to stop at a random gas station to watch it. Holy shit, I'm looking out the window at the gas station over there. Is that fucking Tom Atkins running over there? Holy fucking shit, I gotta run over there and get his fucking autograph. There's a bunch of little kids gonna have a fucking car. I gotta fucking shove those kids out of the way to be the first to get Tom Atkins' autograph. Bunch of little brats. I deserve Tom Atkins' autograph, not them. No.
Where are you going? Don't leave me. I'm a ghost. I don't know how to float yet.
All right.
I don't know how to float
I'm sure he'll still be there after this podcast is over.
I don't know how to float yet.
Anyways, Dan tells the person on the phone to just say it's a bomb or something to get it off the air. Does he really think a terrorist threat is really going to work with Reagan as president? Although this is 82, maybe Reagan hasn't been... Reagan was elected in 80 and then re-elected in 84. Yeah, so, this isn't going to work in Reagan's America. Come on now. Man doesn't negotiate with terrorists. He can't prove it, so he just begs the person to trust him. As the kids approach the TV, an announcer breaks in that they are having technical problems. But the kids change the channel on the little knobs there, and then the commercial cuts out again with another announcer stating that they are having technical difficulties. Again, the kid changes to a third channel, but the commercial continues to play. Dan pleads with the guy to get the third channel off, and we get the iconic ending as Dan yells into the phone, pleading with the man, "You have to stop it. Please just stop it. Stop it. You have to stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it." Oh, wow, the commercial's gone. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. And then finally shouts, "Stop it!" And we are left with that last image of his awesome better mustache and Scary Perry's face, screaming into the phone, as we are left wondering if he succeeded in stopping the third channel, as we fade to black and roll credits. The 80s, when there were only 3 channels on TV. I don't know how big of a thing cable TV was yet. I know it was still kind of a premium.
Yeah.
I don't even know when cable TV started. I don't know if it was available in the early 80s.
We weren't alive.
I know it was starting to catch on in the late 80s.
I'd imagine late 80s because,
everything was still the rabbit ear antennas.
MTV was a big thing.
Yeah, so I don't know. That'd be something I'd have to look up, but it's not that important. I mean, we'll just face it. Conor Cochran may be one of the richest men, but apparently he's not rich enough to get cable advertising. I also don't think there was too much advertising on cable at the time. It was more exclusive because you had to pay for it. So I think that was one of the hooks, was there was less ads because it was you're paying for it. Whereas, regular broadcast TV, they don't make any revenue from you watching it. They make it from the ad revenue. Man, how that racket quickly changed. Now you got to pay for cable and there's ads.
Yeah.
Anyways, now from what I've heard about the novelization of the film,
Yeah.
I've never
Which
actually
was a
read
bestseller.
it. Was it?
It was.
Oh man, I would like to pick up a copy and check it out.
It's crazy, the prices of it.
Oh, I can imagine, because it probably has never been reprinted, and it's one of those things that was only printed back in the time.
I think
of
it's
the
like
movie.
100 plus of that I saw, something like that.
Yeah. In it, from what I've heard from people talk about the ending, he fails and the kids in America, die. You didn't think we were going to go an episode without a music reference, did you?
No.
See, I ruined it because I had lived one in there.
Yeah.
But that was my joke there.
No, they do die. I think it was confirmed by...
Let's see here. Well, it's left to be ambiguous. However...
It's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's meant to be left ambiguous, so you don't know, and that adds to the creepiness factor and the suspense. However, in the In Search of Darkness documentary, the man himself, Tom Atkins, says that he saved the day and that he saved those kids.
Yeah, because...
And that's good enough for me.
Because he wants to be the lead. He saved.
Plus, here's my theory on this. I think the third station was owned by former Santa Mira resident Kevin McCarthy, and he knows all too well the trouble that comes from Santa Mira, and personally stepped in and overrode the station manager's decision to keep airing the commercial and took it off the air.
Can I breathe?
So
Can I
I'm
also,
tying that in. It all circles
I'm
back.
going to give you the thing that you know is coming. Have you ever heard of time zones?
Oh yeah. Well, the big giveaway was at midnight. Perfect time.
So it's like
for the
a
big
wave
giveaway.
of people dying, huh?
Yeah, it's at midnight. See, we're only seeing the local advertisements at 9 p.m. on this coast. Well, the East Coast is 3 hours behind, right? Yeah, they're 3 hours ahead of us. So
yes,
or are they 3 hours behind us? No, they're 3 hours behind us. So like right now.
So wait.
So if it's 9 o'clock here, it's 6 o'clock there. So if it's 9 o'clock there, it's midnight here.
So what already happened? Or you sleeping? Bedtime.
Stay up and watch the Horathon for the big giveaway. Well, see, it coincides because I think isn't Haddonfield, wouldn't that fall in the Eastern time zone, or would that be the Central time zone? See, Haddonfield, their original Horathon ran through midnight.
So originally, anyways, sorry.
Go ahead.
Back to the stop it thing. The music stops at the last credits.
Mm-hmm. And then the score kicks up during the credits.
But originally it didn't.
Oh, it was silent.
It didn't. It kept playing.
Oh, okay.
So, but basically, like you said, Tom at least believes that his struggles weren't in vain, or at least his own children survived.
I'm going with Tom Atkins saved the day. If Tom Atkins says it so, then it is canon. Because, see, his doppelganger, Nick Castle, Dr. Nick Castle, was going around fucking punching fucking in the novel, zombie fishermen.
It is described that the
pirates.
endless screams of dying children could be heard throughout the station, the town, and the land beyond. But that's just the novel. So...
Well, who are you going to believe? A fucking author or Tom Atkins? I mean, it's Tom Atkins.
Okay. I didn't say anything. You are...
And that was Halloween 3.
Was it?
Now, before... we dive in to our last bite. Ghost of Scary Perry, do you have anything to say?
Yes, I have some effects, if you will. So the suits, the fluid that they used that came out of them was orange juice concentrate. You're right with the body count of 9, unless you include millions. I don't know how significant portion of this movie, but Tom Atkins had pneumonia while he was acting.
I do remember that.
In this movie.
I kind of see he's a little sweaty in some scenes.
Nanny Keys, Atkins' ex-wife in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
In the movie, at the time, she was pregnant with the baby of Tommy Wallace. I don't know if they were, married or anything.
Right.
But she was pregnant at that time.
See, Tom Atkins even swooped in on Tommy Lee's girl.
I got 2 different things on this, but the building they use for the Silver Shamrock factory is a paper pulp factory. Or a milk bottling plant. I saw 2 different things. All right.
Conflicting sources.
And then I'm going to ask you a question before we go into a couple things.
Sure, shoot it, Ghost of Scary Perry.
How many times in the movie did they play the jingle?
All right, so there's now, that's a little confusing because, like, the radio, when they're listening on the radio, you just hear the announcer and there's that tick-tock going on in the background, but it's still got kind of like the London Bridge theme, but they never actually sing the jingle there. I don't know if that technically counts. But you got the opening. I tried to make sure I mentioned every time it happened in the notes too. The first time at the gas station, then the second time in the hospital when it comes on the TV, The next one, I believe, is... So the next day, it would be... Because we never get... it goes from 8 more days all the way down to 2 more days. There's no other iterations. It goes... I don't think so, unless... There might be 6.
I'm going to
there
save
might be
you
6
because
days.
this might take you a while to do.
You don't want me to count? I could probably do it.
It's a high number. Pretty high.
Pretty high?
Well, I mean, I don't... It would
All
take
right,
you there. I don't,
so
I'm gonna
anyway,
say
so
the
that was
viewers-
the last one in the hospital.
Okay,
Oh, well, hold
you
on.
counting?
I missed the one
Wait.
with the kids on the TV.
Guys, he's counting. I can't stop.
He missed the one with the kids on the TV, so I got that one. So that's up to 4. So then the hospital stuff happens. Then we go to the bar. It appears on the bar. Then he calls the phone. They're getting ready to go on the road trip. And I remember they pan over to the TVs because they're outside the storefront and starts playing. So that's 6. So then they're in town. I'm not sure if it plays in the office the first time when he goes to check the registry and leaves the money. So I'm going to skip that one for now. But they go, they hook up, they play the song there. I don't know if you count the hobo. We'll exclude the hobo for now, but keep it aside. Then after they're done making love, it plays on the radio. I don't think it plays on the radio with Mrs. Gutman. Then it's the next day. They go to the factory. They're investigating everything. I don't think it plays there, but it goes on. And then later that night, he goes to make another phone call before they get out of town, and it plays on the TV there. So we're up to 9. Then he goes back, and she's gone. And then they go to, then he runs around. He gets captured. Then it goes to the testing, which I don't know if you count that because it plays the jingle, it plays the theme, but it doesn't actually play any of the lyrics. It just goes into the announcer saying, it's time for the big giveaway. So we'll count that one as a maybe. We'll set it along with the hobo and maybe the one I missed if he played when he first went into the office. But then shortly after that, it plays on the TVs with the montage where it goes around and shows all the kids. So that's 10 for sure. Then you go to the next one is when he turns on all the monitors. But again, I don't think it has the song. I think it just goes into it's time for the big giveaway part. So we'll set that one aside as a potential 12. 13 if you count the hobo humming it. 14 if you count the little kids running around singing it too before the commercial actually came on the TV. Then, like I said, there's the radio segment, which could be 15. Then there's the final one at the gas station for 16. Or 11. 11 or 16 if you count those times where it's just a jingle or alluded to.
They put 14 times.
14?
I didn't list, so.
Like I said, I could have missed
I don't know
one.
what their consideration is. Okay.
All right.
Now.
Sorry for going on my long
we're going to go long. I mean, you could take this as far as you want.
Yeah, it's our big Halloween episode.
Okay, all right.
One of them, hopefully.
You know how you think there's 2 Tom Atkins in this movie.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Oh, I think there's 3. I think
3.
the dad from Creepshow's in it, too.
I have something that can solidify this even stronger.
Oh, boy.
When Atkins is one of the scenes when he's running through the factory,
Mm-hmm.
or after when he's running to get the box of Shamrock buttons or whatever. In one of the scenes, he must pass through a garage, and in the garage, in one of the scenes, is a 1981 DeLorean DMX-12 or DMC-12. Sorry, DeLorean Motor Camera 12.
The DeLorean?
There's a DeLorean. It's not. It doesn't have a. Well, I don't know.
What's that have to do with Tom Atkins, though?
I mean, if you're saying he could time travel, then you have multiple Tom Atkins.
No, see, that should have been the setup for what I said they should have done with when they rebooted Halloween. Is just have a crossover of all the timelines, and that's how Tom Atkins gets in from his timeline is he uses the DeLorean.
I mean, I just thought giving you the DeLorean to use. It's there.
Dude, I mean, I told you Mo Rutherford, man. Mo Rutherford, his son.
So it has to do with Mo. It has to do with the DeLorean and David Copperfield.
Yes.
Something is going on in this movie where there's time travel. Okay. Anyways, so let me just get back to some basic facts. All right. So the budget of this movie was $2.5 million. Mm-hmm. It grossed worldwide for a grand total of $14.4
which was
million.
Reasonably profitable, but not as much as they hoped.
Although somebody says it was a critical failure, but
when you factor in marketing, because the marketing budget could have been like almost 5 times the amount of the actual budget.
Just note, this is one
maybe. I guess the marketing would have been at least $5 million, at least 5 to. If it was $10 million, then yes, I could see why it was a flop because it only made $2 million. But it was $5 million, and they pulled in $7 million.
This movie is on is one of the movies on Roger Ebert's most hated list.
Oh, fuck Roger Ebert, that hack.
He's dead, so
good.
Yeah, I think he's dead. Okay, anyways,
I don't need his ghost haunting up.
And then
here.
the last thing is, this movie has a 47% by the critics on Rotten Tomatoes.
Fail.
28% by the audience.
Oh, even worse. Wrong.
And a 5.1 out of 10 on IMDb.
Even worse. That's why we should just
and with
get rid of all those sites.
That'll take us to our final bite.
All right. Time for the last bite.
Oh, last bite.
That's all right. There are people that hate Halloween 3 and those that love it. Count me among the latter, if you couldn't tell, as I have loved this movie ever since seeing it as a kid, and I've only grown to appreciate its nuance as I've matured. Its fantastic score oozes with creepiness, and the 80s synth sounds enhance the clever technology meets ancient magic premise of the film. Dean Cundy's cinematography provides great visuals to go along with this perfectly timed score too. While there technically is a reasonable body count, especially for more of a supernatural type thriller, it isn't a slasher film, so there isn't a lot of blood and gore abound. There's a bit here and there, but the effects in the film are still great where sprinkled in, especially some decapitations, yellow goos and from androids. The cast is great, with very enjoyable performances across the board. This is the film that introduced me to leading ladies' man and hero Tom Atkins, and forever cemented him as one of my favorite actors. And Dan O'Herlihy delivers a deeply chilling and spectacular performance as the not-dick warlock businessman, Connell Cochran, that elevates Cochran to one of the creepiest and most evil villains in all of horror, despite never getting his own hands dirty and committing any murders himself. Instead, using the machinations of his business, Silver Shamrock Novelties, to sow the seeds of his pagan plot to sacrifice children. The plot is certainly far-fetched, with a majority of kids wanting Silver Shamrock masks being hard to believe. I certainly understand that the Silver Shamrock jingle used to advertise them is somewhat silly, but I've always liked its campiness and thought it was catchy. And like I said, it's kind of far-fetched to believe all these kids would want the mask, but you have to also think like a child. You throw in a catchy jingle and they want to buy stuff. I mean, are they not easily persuaded by things we as adults would dismiss as silly or stupid? And, if you hate the jingle and thinking, well, no kid would like that jingle. I mean, Baby Shark, anyone? That song's super fucking annoying, but kids seem to love it. And while the story is a slow build, it's enjoyable one, as the mystery of it pulls you in. Its pacing actually reminds me a lot of the original Halloween, and probably captures that buildup of suspense in a way no other sequel has since the original in the franchise. I understand that the film was meant to turn the Halloween franchise into an anthology film series. We didn't really elaborate on that, but I'm sure Perry will talk about it a little bit here and more in the second. And it's a shame we didn't get to see where that could have gone. There's no reason to hold the fact that Michael Myers isn't in it against this film, as that is a baseless argument. If you can look past the title, you'll find an excellent atmospheric horror film. It perfectly captures the Halloween season 2, the season of the witch, if you will, in a way that no other film can. And if all you want is Michael Myers, well, strap yourselves in and get ready to go on the downward spiral of sequels of degrading quality. But you'll have to wait until next time to drudge into that mess. Overall, though, Halloween 5, let's not talk about Halloween 5 yet. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, is one of my all-time classic horror films. I do have a bit of nostalgia for it, but it holds up so well today. And that is why it joins the coveted Hall of Fame in getting my overall rating of 5 pancakes covered in syrup and yellow android goo. And with that, that's my last bite, and we go to Perry, the ghost of Scary Perry, for his last bite.
So, alluding back to our episodes of Halloween and Halloween 2, I stated before that this was actually the first Halloween movie I saw. I was introduced to this movie by the man from across from me, the Mad Pancaker. I don't know.
Yep,
we probably saw
truly.
it maybe 15 more years ago.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I don't know. But
sounds about right.
I remember, sitting in his basement on the couch watching this, and I remember hearing that jingle for the first time, and I love that jingle.
Oh, it's so campy. It's fun.
I thought it was good. I mean, I was as a child, I was very excited always for trick or treat, and Halloween. Still, I don't go trick or treat now, but I still like it. it used to seem like it's only like 2 hours now, but for me, it used to seem like an eternity I used to have so much fun with different friends and stuff, going to different places. But anyway, back on track. So with that and the 80s sim sounds, so I'm just like going to get into like kind of the meats and potatoes of this. So like I think the cinematography of this movie is great. The effects are good, like you noted. Gory. Yeah, they're gory. I mean, geez.
Yeah.
Digging your fingers into the guy's orbital bone and like.
Right. It's not like a gore fest, though.
No.
Like
it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
And I like the story about, the warlock of. He's
he's not technically a warlock.
I don't know.
He's not.
I guess that's a witch, but
doing any sort of wizardry or anything like that.
But the masks were cool when I first saw them. I really did like the pumpkin mask the best when we first saw it.
Yeah, that's everyone's go-to.
Years later,
I think if I had to rank the masks, not to interrupt you, it'd go pumpkin mask, skeleton, and then witch.
Yeah,
that's my order.
I would concur with you. So yeah, the masks are good. Now Tom Atkins, oh man, when I saw him, it's so good. I dug the mustache. The mustache, he has a similar mustache structure as my father. I just like mustaches.
He's got kind of.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's like a broom handle,
or I should say,
but it's very thick on both sides of the lip, and it's all like one solid piece.
I don't see mine. It can't get solid, but my papa can. But anyways. Good acting by Ellie and the other people in it, and the music, the score, amazing. So obviously, first I knew of Michael Myers kind of, but only seen bits and pieces. I didn't need Michael Myers in this movie. It doesn't have to be like that. Like you said, John Carpenter wanted to make an anthology, more like later, like.
Right. I think that was his condition for coming back to write it was it had to not have Michael Myers.
They should have done. God, but
I know some people say, well, if they would have just called it anything but Halloween, it would have been okay. I'm like, who cares? I mean,
but
what if we called it?
Remade
what if it was? I know this series anthology came years later, but what if it was called Trick or Treat Season of the Witch? Or Creep Show Season of the Witch, or anything else like. Tales from the Crypt Season of the Witch. There's a million of those movies.
I think even if they still continue the anthology, somebody would have always tried to remake the first two with Michael Myers. But yeah, so back then, I'm like, oh, this movie's great. Now even knowing more, like actually, I've seen every other Halloween except in a few days, Halloween Ends.
Trick or treat, motherfucker. God.
Is that
that's what you wanted, people. That's Busta Rhymes? Yeah, that's Busta Rhymes. Yeah, I was trying to make sure I had the right guy.
With all this other stuff now that I know of, like the players in the movie or who they were in other movies, it only enhances this movie more for me. And I've watched this every Halloween since you showed it to me, Matt Pancaker.
Oh, it makes for a good yearly watch. I could watch this movie every year.
This is easily in my top 5. Could be top 3. I don't know. I don't want to go into semantics.
I've thought about that. I
think maybe we'll do this in a different time, but it could be up there. It's very high up there. And so final score for me. This movie gets 5 cannolis covered with so much robotic jizz goose. And then a dollop of the stuff on top.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
It is great.
Like I said, I was curious where this series could have gone from there. I mean, we could have gone more great stories like this that center around Halloween. I don't think you were here, but I was talking with a buddy last week about the movie, and he said and you could make this argument that I'm not going to make this argument because I don't want to get chewed out by all the horror nerds out there that it's better than the first Halloween. I would argue it's equal to it, but I'm not going to argue it's a better film. I'll always hold Halloween 1 above Halloween 3 in the franchise rankings.
You can do that, but I'm going to...
Oh, I know you.
Me personally, this is my favorite Halloween.
Well, yeah, you have it ranked higher, or you gave it a higher rating.
I understand, but it's my... It's not because it's what I saw first. I don't know. It's just my favorite Halloween.
It's a very fun film.
Yeah.
But yeah, he said it's more Halloween themed than any of the other Halloweens, at least the first one, at least.
And they pay
like, I mean, yeah, sure, there's some kids trick or treating around, but it goes all in on the lore of Halloween and the ties to the ancient Celtic rituals.
And it's not so like, I don't believe in the other ones, the other movies that came out, but more recently, it's not like so taboo in the franchise, because in Halloween Kills, there are 3 children that have these masks on in the movie.
They also appear in Halloween 2018.
Okay,
there's it's a brief shot.
And
they're not as prominently
I'm sure
featured,
there's
but
more.
It's like a brief shot. You see the kids walking down the street during, I think, Michael Myers' montage killing spree. Not montage, but one shot killing spree. I think they're in the street during one of those shots. I don't know if it's the same 3 kids that appear in Halloween Kills. It probably is, because everything ties together in that movie.
Yeah.
Recently watching reviews of Halloween Kills, I found a bunch of characters that were in the first one as minor characters that show up later again in this one, or in Halloween Kills as not major characters, but they show back up again. Like the black lady who gets the fluorescent light bulb to her neck. She's the guy that shows the gravestone of Judith Myers to, I forget who, the new Loomis, the sheriff or something. Guy? No, she shows it to the guy. I didn't know.
Oh, okay.
It's the black lady.
Yeah, I know.
She's the groundskeeper that shows the headstone of Judith Myers, the grave plate, the grave marker. To, I forget who went there. Either the podcast people or the sheriff or the new Loomis.
Kill, I mean, there's still good kills.
Yeah, I have more to say about that kill way later down the line.
Yeah,
but
I know.
we got to get through like 6 other sequels before then. 2 Rob Zombie movies. I don't know if I'm ready to cover those ones, but anyways, so but yeah, my friend said that he actually thinks it's more of a Halloween film than the original and is more rewatchable on Halloween. So that was, interesting. And he's a big horror guy too, so trying to think what else we got to say about this film. And like the arguments, I understand if you don't like the film. Hey, everybody's allowed to not like a film. I'm not going to be like this is Halloween. Oh man, there's that cricket chirping that came out of your head earlier.
Oh, still a ghost.
Yeah,
it's trying to rematerialize.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do something about that. Maybe I'll get Scary Pot to finally.
Hey, you want to make a clay pot together? Oh wait, he wasn't dead.
I see this something about reverse exorcism card that I got here. I might have to give that guy, say his name 3 times. We'll see what he can do here.
Oh,
to do something about you. Hey, now, don't say it again.
Okay.
Anyways, but yeah, I don't get that argument. Like, if you don't like it just because Michael Myers isn't in it, that's so lame. Like, if you point out, like, oh, it's cheesy, okay, I get it. I'm not going to be like, if for some reason you don't like Halloween or don't think it's a perfect horror movie, like, I'm not going to, I'd argue with you on that. I'm not going to argue with that on Halloween 3.
If that's what they think, it's not a slasher movie.
Yeah, I know people expected Michael Myers because Michael Myers was in the second one.
But he is in it.
Well, yeah, that's the joke I make. Is that
they actually flashed his face on one of the Silver Shamrock commercials I was reading also.
That's interesting.
For real quick. I think it's maybe when the kids were watching. I don't know exactly.
It could be.
His kids.
Especially since it's blinking really fast. If you're not slowing down the frame rate, you might not even see it, Yeah. And if you watched it and you didn't like it at first, maybe give it a rewatch this Halloween season. Like I said, it's the perfect thing. If you want to do a Halloween marathon on Halloween, it's perfect to put on Halloween. And if you want to go into Halloween 2, I like the film. I know some people don't. I like Halloween 2. It perfectly blends into the night with it fading into night. Like I said at the ending of Halloween 2, if you time it just right, I'm not sure if you could start Halloween just at the point where it's still light out and then becomes day when becomes night when it becomes night, and still fit in Halloween 2 before the big and Halloween 3 to time it with the big giveaway. But it'd be a hell of a thing to try. Let's see. I think that's all we got. Like I said, if you didn't like it, but you haven't seen it in a while, give it another watch. It's fun. It's meant to be fun and campy, but it does have a genuine creepiness to it. I don't think it's that
campy.
The song and the mask and everything.
But to me, I don't know.
I understand it's campy, but it's still very creepy with the music. The score's perfect. Wrap up with some usual plugs here. So be sure to follow us on social media. I'm the Mad Pancaker on everything. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Follow me there. Perry is at Perry Scary on the Facebook. Oh, brings us to a brief point. That was funny. You sent me a thing where somebody shared something. I guess there's another Scary Perry out there.
Something that I was not.
I guess you're doing a side hustle on me that you didn't tell me about. You have a Halloween shop.
Yeah, in Illinois, apparently.
Oh, geez, how close to Haddonfield?
I can't.
And somebody tagged his account in it, but it obviously isn't him.
And then they deleted it after.
I like to think you're the guy playing on the rocking out in that concert, the bigger guy. I like to think you're that guy. I think you could pull it off. You look a little like him. But yeah, and be sure to subscribe to the podcast on your podcast app of choice. Leave us a rating, a 5-star rating. Helps people find the podcast. Be sure to share it. Share it with your friends. Word of mouth really helps. Share it on your profiles, social media. We aren't on YouTube yet, but I'm working on that, people. So we're not going to have like video podcast, but I'll jury-rig some slideshow stuff so there's at least some pretty pictures for you to look at of some hot cakes and maybe some stills of the movie, comparing some of those Scary Perry mustache
like
shots.
Yeah, with his.
I don't know if I put that one up, but I'm working on it. I'll let you know when that comes around. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/madpancaker. You can subscribe there to get. You can participate in polls to vote on what movies we review for different events. We had an awful August poll where you could vote. You can also vote on Facebook, but there will be Patreon exclusive polls at some point once we build up a little more of a Patreon audience. But right now, Patreon polls count for double votes, so you could easily swing a Patreon vote and swung our awful August to Hobgoblins. So that's what we ended up reviewing for that. And there's also tiers where the $5 tier, you can write a intro spoiler, one of our random intro spoilers that spoils a completely random, not always related movie. I might try to figure out a good Halloween spoiler intro for this one to tie into this one. Trying to remember if I used one before, but I don't think I have. If I haven't, it's definitely probably going to be for this one. For the $10 tier, you can pick a movie for us to review, and we'll add it to our list, and we'll fit it into our schedule based on, like if our Christmas season is coming up and you have a non-Christmas movie, it's not going to be until after the Christmas holiday season. But if you pick a Christmas movie, maybe we'll use that as our excuse for the holiday season, and you review that movie, that type of thing. Really helps the podcast grow, helps us buy equipment, buy some of these movies, rent some of these movies, so helps cover the cost there. And down the line, maybe we can have a video version of the podcast so you don't have to look at lame slideshows once I get around to cobbling something together. And you can also go to themadpanker.com. All the episodes are there as well. And you can leave a voicemail there as well. And you can also leave a voicemail for us at anchor.fm/themadpancaker. You can leave them either or. I'll get them both.
Do it.
And yeah, we'd love to hear from you, what your thoughts are on these movies, or any questions you have for us about any movie you have in particular. It might take us a while to get to, or our thoughts on certain tropes and, whatever question you want to ask us. It can even be non-horror related if you really want it. If, maybe what other types of movies we like, what other genres we really like, our favorites in some other genres. Ask us anything. We'd love to hear from you. And we'd probably put that. I don't know if I'd put it during hotcakes or if I put it at the end here. I'd figure out where the heck we would put it. But I think that's all the plugs I got. You got anything else about Halloween 3 and our stellar review of it?
No.
Like I said, one of my old times favorites.
Me as well.
Trying to think of a random Dolores jab here, but I don't got one. You got lucky this time, Dolores. Enough prattling on, time to sign off. So, as always, I'm the Mad Pancaker, and my co-host is Scary Perry. So join us next time for the return of Michael Myers, since that's what everybody wanted. Until next time, check please.
Doors!
The International House of Horror.